27-year-old designer Rachel Cook is suing ex-boyfriend, car customizer Dan Mock, for household items they purchased over the 4 years they lived together.
Yeah, this is case number 367 on the calendar in the matter of Cook versus Mock. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Cook, it is your claim that the defendant kept some property that is rightfully yours after you broke up. You were in a long-term relationship, about 4 years, and lived together for all that time?
Correct.
Mr. Mock says you got whatever you're going to get.
Yes.
So, when did you move in together and when did you leave?
We got together August 7th, 1999.
And when did you separate?
We broke up September 17th. I moved out October 1st.
What arrangements did you make with Mr. Mock about the division of property?
Well, him and my brother both loaded the items that we discussed as I was loading the truck that he said that I could have. I had taken one of the dressers and two of the nightstands for the bedroom set, and that was fine. And he said that, you know, his stuff was still in the one dresser and that, you know, as soon as he replaced it, he would deliver that item to my mother's house. The steamer and the vacuum cleaner, he wanted to clean the carpets and stuff before I took those. There was a blow-up pool for my son, and then also...
Did you have a child living with you?
Correct.
But this was not the child of this relationship? It was,
no.
How old is your son?
My son's 8 years old.
What items did you take with you?
I got one of the freezers, the washer and dryer. He said it wasn't a problem to take the washer and dryer. He was just going to replace them anyways.
Don't tell me. You're editorializing.
Sorry.
You got a freezer? Had you bought that freezer?
The freezer was given to us by his ex-sister-in-law.
Okay, so the answer is you did not buy the freezer?
No.
Did you buy the washer and dryer?
I bought the washer. The dryer was his brother's.
What else did you take?
As far as furniture?
Bedroom furniture. Who purchased it?
We purchased it together.
So you both paid for it?
Correct.
Is that right?
I paid for it.
All the furniture, all the bedroom furniture?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, that's incorrect. Both our money went into a joint account for the 4 years that we were together. We opened an account in March of 2000.
And you were employed?
Correct. I haven't been employed other than 3 weeks the entire time we've been together.
So when you say that you paid for it by check?
I actually paid for it by cash. What I would typically do would be to deposit a certain amount of my check into the joint account, and then I would keep a certain amount for myself or whatever.
For cash?
Right, for cash.
Well, that's okay. That's the way you set up your finances, so that you didn't pay for it. It was paid for from joint money. Okay, what is it that you want now?
All I want is the items that on the day that I moved out and we loaded the truck, we discussed the electric skillet and we purchased off eBay that had not arrived yet.
Do you have a list of those things?
Yes, I do.
Let me see it, please.
They are right there.
Ms. Cook, don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Thursday.
Sorry.
She wants a vanity-style dresser. Do you have that?
That is, yes, the dresser part of that bedroom set.
Okay, you have any problem giving her that?
Yes.
Why?
Out of the bedroom, I've kept that dresser. She's taken the bed, she's taken the nightstand, she's
so you want the dresser?
Oh, yeah, I would like to at least have a dresser.
You can have it. It's yours. It's his. You took the bed, you took the other dresser, now he's got that. That's it. Period. Listen, when two people are married and they live together, they have courts to decide about the division of property.
Correct.
When two people decide to live together and do a test run, we don't have courts for test runs. You two people put money in a joint bank account, which means that all the things that were purchased, according to you, except the stuff that was given by his family, was purchased from the joint account. You took most of the bedroom furniture. He wants the dresser. He's got it. I'm the judge. Period. End of discussion. Over. Don't respond. Next. Steam cleaner.
The steam cleaner at the beginning of summer, I had given her the money to go to town to buy.
Don't tell me you gave her the money. So you both put money in the joint account. It's not your money. Did you tell her that she could have the steam cleaner?
No.
Okay.
I'd like
Vacuum?
to interject. My mother was there the day that he said that he would deliver all these items to my mother's house. My brother called.
He changed his mind.
But the day that he was served with papers.
In order to have a contract, you have to have an offer and acceptance, and there has to be some consideration. What was the consideration for him giving you all the property?
I didn't ask for any of the vehicles that were purchased. I didn't ask for reimbursement for any of the money for his mortgage payments. I didn't ask for reimbursement.
You don't get, let me explain something. You don't get reimbursement for money for his mortgage payments because you and your child were living there.
What about the $1,100 that's still owed on my mother's Lowe's account for items that are permanently part of that house? I couldn't take my garden window.
Let me explain something to you, my dear. You do not invest money in a home unless you're married.
Oh, I know that now.
Well, If you watched regularly, you would have known it before. You do not
I thought
invest
that-
money in a house.
I thought that when he said that he would do something, that he was actually maybe for the first time going to do it.
Okay. Did you purchase an electric skillet on your
Correct.
account?
Yes.
Who paid for it?
I did.
Show me. Prove it.
I cannot prove it.
That's
I
too
can-
bad. She gets the skillet. $400.
How much, ma'am?
Skillet? How much was the skillet?
This is the actual payment. We purchased it on
Let me
eBay.
see.
This is the
Oh,
replacement
just a second.
cost.
Who's we? I thought you said you purchased it.
I purchased it. I paid for it. I purchased the...
From where did you
we
get
bought
the
it off
money?
eBay.
Not we. Where did
I
you
bought
get
it off
the money? Where did you get the
I
money?
paid for it out of my paycheck after we split up.
Well, show me.
It's right there.
Okay, good. Is this what you showed me, $36?
Yes, but the replacement cost, I want the skillet.
It was purchased on September 8th. This was before you broke up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I guess that I had that date wrong. But it was, I went in and paid
I
for
mean,
it.
it's sort of interesting that you say that the skillet is worth $400 and you
That's
paid...
the replacement cost if I were to have to go buy it.
Oh, well, you don't get that, madam.
I want the skillet.
But you don't get that. You were living together.
Correct.
I told you, you have a problem. Your problem is things that were purchased from a joint account.
Okay.
Courts don't do that anymore. I mean, if I'm looking at any item here that looks as if, for instance, I have a small child's desk. Whose is that?
That is hers.
Where is it?
It is at her house.
No, it is not.
Her brother returned it for me.
You're the
And
brother?
when was that?
Step up.
Yes,
You're Miss Cook's brother?
yes, I am.
You brought the child's desk where?
Over to where she is living at her mother's house. It is sitting on the front porch.
You don't get along with your sister, I assume?
No, not really.
Okay. What about an inflatable swimming pool?
The inflatable swimming pool. I'm sorry, ma'am, for laughing. It is at my house. It is in the garbage trailer. It was a $15.
It was 30.
Okay, it was a $30 inflatable pool that sat out in the sun all summer.
Well, if she wants to come over and get it, leave it out 5 days from today. If she wants to
Gladly.
come and pick it up, she's going to pick it up.
Gladly.
Okay?
Yes.
Because that you don't sit in that, do you?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're being petty. I don't know why.
It's items that he said I could have. And he said in front of my mother that I could have, and the day
I'm
they
not-
were served, they were going to deliver.
And later today,
The two of you believe that Mr. Gelhar owes you for mental distress. And Mr. Gelhar says that you aggravated him into an ulcer. Huh. Everybody's in Never Never Land here.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rachel Cook claims former lover Dan Mock will not return her things. Dan says she should move on with her life.
Miss Cook, my sense is that you're being pretty petty. Most of these things are not worth a lot of money. They have no sentimental value.
They do to me.
No, a swimming pool that you bought for $30 that is plastic doesn't have sentimental value.
No, but when we didn't have it, when we unloaded, my son cried. He wanted his desk,
Miss
he wanted
Cook,
certain items.
Miss
and
Cook, I can't tell you that you don't have the desk. Your brother says that the desk is on the porch in your house.
It was not there when we left.
Check again. My sense is that Mr. Mock is not lying to me. It seems to me that when you left, you took an awful lot of stuff with you. You loaded it in a truck.
But I
I'm
also-
not going. You want more?
I paid for stuff into that house as well. And I feel that
Your problem is you feel as if because you invested money in a house that was not yours, that you can't take out of the house, you should be able to get the things that you can take out
But
of
I
the
didn't
house.
take everything that you can take out of there. I didn't take the desk. I told him he could have the computer desk that I paid for.
Good.
I didn't take the surround sound system, which, great, I have a big screen TV that he was kind enough to let me have that has no internal speaker. So without a sound system, it's pretty much worthless.
You mean you can't watch television on it?
You can watch television on it, but you can't hear it.
Well, you go get a little speaker and plug it in.
But I mean, that's the thing. I didn't take, we had two
You're being
surround
petty.
systems.
I don't know why, but this stuff here that you have here is nonsense. I mean, it's really nonsense.
But it's items that he said I could have. And he said in front of my mother that I could have, and the day they were served, they were going to deliver.
Listen to me. I'm not listening to your mother.
Okay.
Is there anything on her wish list that you feel as if you can part with?
Ma'am.
Just to answer my question,
No,
sir.
ma'am.
Nothing. It's all important to you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's all important to you. It's the only vacuum cleaner in your house.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
No, there's one out in
And-
the storage unit.
Is there another vacuum cleaner in the storage unit?
There may be. If there is, she's
And
welcome.
he has a new
Just
dresser.
shh. So you would have no objection to going to look and seeing if there is another vacuum cleaner that you might want to give her.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to do that. If you find it, you put it on the curb with the swimming pool.
Will do.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Have happy life goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The real reason we were here was because I have a new girlfriend.
If he feels that I'm being petty and jealous over his convicted felon girlfriend, I'm really sorry, but she's not half the woman I am.
She's angry. She's upset.
He cheated on me, whether he wants to feel that he cheated on me or not.
She just can't. She can't let go.
I still love him, but you know what? I'm not in love with him. As far as I'm concerned, he is worse than scum.
She's just one of those people that is just never going to let go until...
Officer Brett Robinson is suing 23-year-old student Anissa Davis for filing a false complaint with his department. Anissa is countersuing for emotional distress due to malicious prosecution.
Yeah, this is case number 85 on the calendar in the matter of Robinson versus Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
You are a police officer, sir, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where are you a police officer?
Los Angeles Police Department,
How long have you been a police officer?
19 years.
According to what I've read, you gave the defendant a traffic ticket, and that traffic ticket was for speeding?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the speed that she was traveling, and what was the zone?
She was traveling 58 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone.
Your complaint states that subsequent to giving her a ticket, she wrote a letter, or a series of letters, one to your captain, one to the chief, complaining about the treatment she received from you. And as a result of those letters, there was an investigation, and while there was a finding of no fault, I assume, is that right?
Correct, Your Honor.
Those letters will remain in your file, and you want to be compensated because you said everything that she said about you was a lie.
That's true.
So first I have to find out from Ms. Davis, I'd like to see from you a copy of the letter that you sent to Officer Robinson's superiors. Now, can you also please identify who your witnesses are?
I am my father, James Davis, and my mother, Winnie Davis.
Okay. And neither of them were present during the course of this
No, they weren't.
incident, is that right?
Yes.
Perfect. And your father, from what I gather from your answer, as well as from Officer Robinson's complaint, is a retired police officer, is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, Ms. Davis, I would like you to start from the beginning.
Okay.
The very
Your
beginning,
Honor, I
and
would like
tell
to
me what happened when Officer Robinson stopped you.
Well, I would like to start off by saying that it has nothing to do with the actual citation. I wrote the letter about expressing my feelings to the police department about the way that I was treated and how I felt.
Why don't you just answer my question? I asked you to tell me what happened from the moment that he pulled you over for speeding.
Okay. He pulled me over and he told me that I was allegedly going too fast.
Pulled you over, and he said to you, what were his words?
I don't remember his exact
What
words.
did you say to him?
Hello. I rolled down my window. He asked for my license and registration.
Did you have your license?
Yes, I did.
Did you have your registration?
Yes, I did.
Fine. So he took the license, and what did he do with it?
He proceeded to tell me what he stopped me for, and he went back to his car.
No, I don't want you to tell me he proceeded to tell me what he stopped me for. He said something to you. I stopped you for speeding. You were going 58 miles in a 40-hour zone. What did he
Yes.
say to you, Miss Davis?
I'm sorry, I'm
He
just very nervous.
Well, get unnervous. Did he say to you, I'm giving you a ticket because you were speeding?
Yes.
Fine. And what did you say to him?
I asked him if he knew my father.
And what did he say to you?
He said he knew exactly who my father was.
You said to him, do you know who my father is? And he must have said to you, who's your father?
Yes.
And you said?
Jim Davis.
And he said, I know exactly who your father
He
is.
said, yes, he's a retired police officer. Yes, he did. That's what he
No,
said.
what did he say to you? Did he say, I know he's a retired
he said
police officer,
yes.
or did he say, I know
He said,
exactly
yes,
who your father
he's a
is?
retired police officer. I know exactly who he is.
Fine. And then what did he do?
He went back to his motorcycle to continue writing my ticket.
And what did you do?
I looked for my insurance.
Did you find it?
Yes.
And did you, at some point, get out of the car?
Yes.
Was it before or after you found your insurance?
Probably during. I made a phone call on my cell phone.
Who did you make a phone call to?
To my father.
What for?
Because I was nervous about the way I was being treated.
So far you have been
And-
treated perfectly.
Yeah, but...
So far you have been treated perfectly, professionally and perfectly. So
I'm
what did you
talking
call
about-
your father for?
Because I wanted to ask him a question.
What question did you want to ask him?
About my insurance, because I had just gotten a new insurance card because my car had been broken into, so I
Perfectly
called.
reasonable. So when you got your father on the phone, what did you say to him?
I told him that I had just been stopped by a police officer for speeding, and he said, can I talk to the officer? So at that point, with the insurance in my hand, I got out of the car, and I went up to him and I asked him if I could ask him something, and he put his hand up in my face.
No, you didn't say that to him at all. Don't give me baloney. You said my father wants to talk to you.
No, I said, can my father talk to you? Can I?
Right, that's
Yes.
exactly what you said. Can my father talk to you? Don't leave that out. And he put his hand up in your face and said what?
He said, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to anybody. Go to your car. He didn't want to discuss anything further with
Sounds perfectly right to me. Doesn't it sound perfectly right to you, former retired police officer Davis? That requires a simple yes or no. Is anything
Yes,
that your
ma'am.
daughter said to you sound untoward on the part of this officer?
She's left a couple of things out.
No, you weren't there.
Yes, ma'am, you're correct.
You weren't there. So if you were me, and you've been around the ballpark a little bit, if you were me listening to your daughter right now, would you find anything untoward in this police officer's conduct?
Only the part about he didn't want to talk to her and go have a seat in the car.
No. What she said was she wanted him to talk to you. And you were going to try to talk him out of giving your daughter a ticket.
That's not true. Your
Absolutely, positively, 100%. As I'm sitting here and he's standing there.
Not anymore.
Speak. Listen to me. Speak not. Otherwise, there is absolutely no reason for you to have.
May I say something?
Called. Say nothing, sir. Don't embarrass yourself.
I won't.
You will. Believe me, you will. You will embarrass yourself because that is exactly what happened. She called you on the phone and she said, I'm going to get a speeding ticket. And you said, let me speak to the guy. That's what your daughter told me.
That's not correct.
Well, that's what your daughter just told me. You mean she's lying? She said to me, my father said, let me talk to him. And I got out of the car holding my insurance card in my hand with the phone. And she walked over to him and said to him, my father wants to talk to you. And he put up his hand and he said, I don't want to talk to you. And I don't want to talk to your father. That's what she just told me. I didn't make that up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know why you called your father, and the fact that he wouldn't respond to it is to his credit.
But the fact is that he did not want to continue to talk to me.
He doesn't have to talk to you. You want to talk to somebody, go to a psychiatrist.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Police officer Brett Robinson says after giving Anissa Davis a speeding ticket, she filed a false complaint with his department.
Go ahead.
She left out part of the phone conversation, which I was privileged to. Where she asked me, she told me she got stopped for speeding. And I asked her, I said, did he use a radar? Did he follow you? Did he estimate your speed? What did he do? And she said, I don't know. And I said, get out of the car and ask him. She came back 2 seconds later and said, he said it was not radar. And I said, fine. And she said, would you like to talk to him? And I said, if he'll talk to me, I'll talk to him.
Listen to me, sir. Those are questions that are left for a court. You know that, and I know that. The way to fight a ticket is to go to a hearing and ask just the questions that you wanted her to ask this officer when he was giving her a ticket. He is under no obligation whatsoever to provide that information. And you know that as a former police officer.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, he did nothing untoward. Nothing. And she had no right to write a letter. None. Now you may be seated. Now I'm going to ask you some other things. Who wrote the letter?
I did.
With whose help?
With my mother and father.
Right.
But I wrote the letter with my thoughts, my ideas.
Your
my
thoughts and your
feelings.
ideas. Listen to me. I want you to understand something. I've been around the ballpark a long time. How did I know that you did not write this letter by yourself?
I'm an educated college student. I don't know why why I wouldn't be able to
Because
write
I
this
could
letter.
tell that you didn't write it yourself. That's how. Come. I could tell you didn't write it yourself. It may have been your thoughts or your ideas, but the words weren't all yours. So that comes out of vindictiveness. He was annoyed that this officer gave his daughter a ticket and would not get on the phone with him because, after all, he should have done it as a courtesy. And he didn't.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. And you did the wrong thing because you were a spoiled brat driving a little bit too fast and you got stopped and your father, I don't know if he's ever gotten you out of difficulty before, but you figured, while I'm looking for my insurance card, I'm going to call my father. There was no reason for that because you had the insurance card in your hand. You had any questions for your father, you ask him the questions after you get the ticket when you get home. There was no reason to call him then. Absolutely none. So you know why you called your father. I know why you called your father. He knows why you called your father. And the fact that he wouldn't respond to it is to his credit. That you got no more of a favor than anybody else that he might have stopped.
But the fact is that he did not want to continue to talk to me.
He doesn't have to talk to you. You want to talk to somebody, go to a psychiatrist. He doesn't have to talk to you. He's giving you a ticket.
To someone who's a police officer, who I look up to, who is on duty
Please.
in uniform.
Please.
Someone who I look up to and I respect, and who doesn't want to even talk to me after that whole incident.
Let me explain something to you, madam. He doesn't want to be pressured. And before you got out of the car with your cell phone, with your father on the line, he said nothing untoward to you, according to you, and even according to your father. It wasn't until after you made the phone call, according to you, that he put his hand up in your face and refused to talk to you. And he doesn't have to talk to you. That's what you go to therapy for. His responsibility is to give you a ticket,
and
to say quiet,
and
to say license, registration. I am giving you a ticket for speeding. I'm speaking. Now you're not so nervous anymore. You're interrupting the judge. I'm giving you a ticket for speeding. You were going 58 miles in a 40-hour zone. Here is your ticket. You can respond to it. You can plead guilty. You can plead not guilty. That's it. Other than that, he has to say diddly squat to you. So he acts totally professionally. License, registration, proof of insurance. Thank you very much. Have a seat in your car. You don't like it? You go home, you pick up the phone, you call your therapist, and you say, I had a very bad day today. I need an appointment. I need to vent for an hour. You don't write a letter to his superiors. Now, my question to you, sir, is you've been very quiet. The reason I started with her first is because what's the point in listening to you? I wanted to find out what she was complaining about.
Yes,
now, you're suing her for $5,000.
Yes,
I want to know what you're going to do with this $5,000 if you get it.
I really hadn't had any plans for that yet. What I wanted to ask you, or what I wanted to tell you earlier, is that what she put in the letter obviously is completely untrue, and I have proof of that. I have a tape recording of the conversation that occurred between Miss Davis and myself. What she has told her father, what she has told you, and what she has told the station is completely untrue.
Oh, I would like to hear that. You mean it's even worse?
Can I respond to
Well,
that?
Absolutely not.
So what's on the tape and what you've read in the letter is night and day.
Go ahead.
Afternoon. I'm Officer Robinson with LAPD. Three things. The first one is I got your speed here on Wilbur with a laser at 58, speeding at 40. And then I also noticed that your left brake light is out with stuff on the brakes and phone behind you. Do you have your license with you?
Do you have a transcript?
Yes, I do.
Can I see the transcript,
Yes,
please?
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
First of all, I had no clue that he had this. This is the first time I've heard of it. And he has control to start, stop, and alter any part of this tape.
I want to read what you say. I mean, that's your voice, right? He didn't get somebody to dub your voice.
No, I'm saying, but
Good.
he has the option as his recorder to...
Quiet. Initially, when he said, do you have your license with you? You know what you responded to him? I do, which I heard there. Oh, wow. My dad's a policeman, too, and I'm having the worst time of all.
Oh, wow.
With my finals, I don't know if this matters at all. My dad works with you. Oh, Miss Davis, do you live on Brimer? Yes. Who is your father? Sergeant Davis. He works for Valley Traffic. He's a sergeant, too. Is he a motorcycle officer? Yes, he is. What's his first name? You say Jim Davis. Officer. Yeah, your dad's retired. I know who your dad is, but he's retired. It doesn't matter whether he's working or retired. You're responsible for your own driving. You say your vehicle is registered. What year is it? It's a 95. All right. Wait. All right. He says, you wait right here. I'll be right with you. And then you say to him, my dad wants to talk to you for a second. I'm not going to talk and handle your phone. Why don't you go ahead and wait over there by your vehicle or in your vehicle?
Can I add that he put his hand in my face and said, I'm not talking to your dad, I'm not talking to you, go to your vehicle?
I'm holding a ticket book in my left hand.
Just a second. So what?
And a pin in my
Just
right.
a minute. So.
You had your ticket book.
So, listen to me.
Pen.
So what?
To me, a man in uniform, someone who works for the Los Angeles Police Department, should not be putting a hand in my face.
You're a big baby.
No.
You're a big baby. I don't know how many times your father's gotten you out of scrapes before. This time, he couldn't, and you got annoyed, and so did he.
This had nothing to do with the citation.
Listen to me. Can't you get this through your head? He did nothing wrong. You did. First you were speeding, and then you tried to get out of the ticket by telling him that your father was a police officer. You did something wrong. And then when you got the ticket anyway, you wrote a letter, and your father, maybe because he has nothing better to do, and your mother, I don't know what she does, participated in authoring this letter, which is going to sit in his personnel file, and it's wrong. And you owe him an apology. So stop defending your behavior. You owe him an apology.
And I didn't write the letter for the citation. He's doing this for retaliation for personal gain. He's suing me for $5,000 because I'm expressing my feelings to the department about how he lacks.
You've been living in L.A. too long.
No, actually,
I think you ought to go live someplace else. You've been living in L.A. too long.
Actually,
now I want you to be. Now I want you to be quiet because I'm speaking. For somebody who's nervous, you talk pretty well. So I want you to be quiet. My question to you, officer, it's worse than what I thought, because she tried to influence you through her father immediately on being stopped. It wasn't later on, as she has indicated, but it was immediate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What I'm asking you, Officer Robinson, is you're suing her for $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
She's got a counterclaim, ridiculous counterclaim, because for $5,000, punitive damages and emotional distress due to malicious prosecution.
And
she's operating in La La Land someplace.
I have copies of all of my medical and psychiatric things
Listen
right
to
here
me.
when you're...
Listen, shh, hey, quiet. Listen to me. You were wrong. Get it through your head. Madam, you were wrong. Your counterclaim is dismissed. All I'm asking you is, what do you plan on doing with the $5,000? Are you planning on keeping it, or is there a charitable organization through the LAPD that you would like to donate this money to? If I give you the money, now that I've told her she is, whether she gets it or not, 150% out of line. She had no right to write the letter. He had no right to participate in writing the letter. He should have asked the same questions I did. He should have known that his daughter did the wrong thing by bringing up his name when she got stopped for a ticket. Maybe her mother doesn't understand enough to tell her that she did the wrong thing, to encourage this kind of irresponsible behavior. But I'm going to ask you, what do you want to do with the money?
Well, I think I would like to donate to the Police Memorial Foundation.
That sounds just fine. I'm entering a judgment for $5,000. But since I believe that Ms. Davis maligned the police department as well as you, $2,500 of that will go to the LAPD Memorial Foundation, $2,500 to you. Thank you very much. That's all. Step out.
20-year-old physical therapy technician, Levita Richter, is suing her former friend, 21-year-old caregiver, Adriana Falk, for bail money, a loan to get her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Ms. Richter, you and the defendant had been friends, according to the complaint that I read.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there was a point when she was in some difficulty. Did she come to live with you at that point?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
When was that?
About October.
October of 2004?
Yes.
Who were you living with?
My fiancé.
Who's now your husband?
Yes.
Is that him?
No.
Who was this?
This is my witness.
According to you, there are 2 loans outstanding. And in addition to the 2 loans, you claim that Ms. Falk owes you for this bridesmaid's dress. I assume that this is the bridesmaid's dress. She was an attendant at your wedding. They were supposed to pay for their own dresses. You claim she did not pay for hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Falk says that both of those times when you gave her the money, it was a gift. And the bridesmaid's dress, she says she paid for, even though you still have it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go to live with Ms. Richter and her fiancé, Ms. Falk?
I was having some problems with my mother and needed to get out of the situation that I was in.
Now, when was the first time that she gave you money?
When this guy right over here got me into trouble at my employment, I was taken to jail because of him and his roommates and what they had asked me to do for them. And
well, why don't you explain that to me further?
Okay, I was working at Colusa Casino in Colusa County. And
where is that?
Part of Northern California.
Go ahead.
Me and Mr. Weiser had started dating, and him and his roommates knew obviously that I worked at a casino and asked me if I could possibly give them players cards with instant rewards on them, which is like a credit, and they can go in the casino and play. Well, I told them a number of times I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Now I'm being charged for all 4 of those gentlemen and what they asked me to do.
Just a second. So they asked you to get them these cards, and you said no. So how could you be charged with anything?
Because I did it anyways.
Oh, so you did it. you did something illegal.
Yes, ma'am.
Levita Richter says former friend Adriana Falk owes for bail money, a loan to have her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Explain to me how you did something illegal.
I would go in and add the instant rewards to their cards. That gentleman right there would come in and play his, not only, and all four of
I
his
don't
roommates'
understand the
cards.
instant rewards. What does that mean?
It's just like a credit you can go in and play on slot machines. You can't cash it out. The only thing you cash out is what you win, but you cannot cash out anything on that card.
But you can play with it.
Yeah.
And you knew you were doing, in effect, you were stealing from the casino.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, madam. That's
Well,
not
this
anybody.
gentleman here did.
No, he didn't. No, Miss Falk. That's not true. If I asked Bird to falsify a document for me, and I've known him for a very long time, 25 years?
At least.
At least. I guarantee you, he would not do it for me. And he likes me. And if I asked somebody that I cared about to do something illegal, I would not be angry if they said, no, that's illegal.
Well, they were when I said no.
So then what you say to somebody who's asking you to do something wrong is, I'm sorry, you can be angry, and if you want to not see me anymore, you don't see me anymore. If you want to not be my friend, you don't want to be my boyfriend, whatever it is. But you don't blame somebody else for you're doing something criminal.
There are charges pending on them, but I don't know what they are yet.
Are there charges pending against you?
Yes, there is.
For what?
For second-degree burglary, and it's burglary in the second degree, and then the grand theft as well.
Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you any questions about that because those matters are pending. I'm sorry. You represented by an attorney with regard to that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stupid. Anyway, you got into trouble and she bailed you out?
Yeah. He was on his way home, and he called her and asked her to bail me out of jail.
Who asked her?
I had called Mr. Weiser and told him that I was in jail because he knew that I was going to meet with the security officers at the casino that morning. Then I ended up being arrested after about an hour or two of questioning. I was taken into custody and arrested, and I called him. He was the first person that I was able to call, and he called her and asked her to bail me out.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Who called?
The bail bond gentleman called me at
Well,
work.
but she didn't call you.
I spoke to her, and she asked me to come bail her out.
When? You said the bail bondsman called.
I talked to her after the bail bonds gentleman called, and I was allowed to talk to her. And she was crying. She said, please come get me out of this place.
You went there and you bailed her out?
Yes.
What arrangements did you make for her to pay you back?
She was to pay me back. She had promised me that she would pay me back because I wasn't just going to give it to her. I was getting married in a few months, and I didn't have that money to spare.
Well, I want to know what conversation did you have with her with regard to paying you back? Don't tell me what she understood.
She
Ms.
just
Richter.
said, I promise that I'll pay you back. I thank you for bailing me out.
When did she say that to you?
In front of the bail bond gentleman, when we were signing these papers.
Let me see the papers. Okay, what was the next amount of money?
It was the $500 that I loaned her to have her car fixed.
Okay, let me hear.
She was driving a Geo Metro. It needed some repairs. It was $1,000 to have it fixed. Matt was my witness. He was going to pay half, and I was going to pay the other half. I wrote him a check. He deposited it into his bank account, and he
Well,
used
just a
his credit
second.
card.
Why were you going to pay half? I don't hear what...
She didn't have the money to pay it, and it needed to be fixed, or else she wouldn't be able to drive back and forth to work.
Well, when did you have that discussion with her, Miss Richter?
It was...
On the phone while I was at Winco.
It was not on the phone. She was in my...
Just a minute. Where was it?
I was at Winco with Mr. Weiser at the time, and she called me and told me that her and her husband now were going to loan me the $500.
No, just a second. She said she and her husband were going to loan you the $500. Perfect. And she did. So why don't you have to pay her back?
She had me arrested.
What did she have you arrested for?
Charges on credit card fraud.
And that's another thing that's pending against you? I don't want to hear about it. So she's alleging that you took money from her credit cards. And she called and had you arrested. Sounds right to me. $815 so far. Now let's hear about the bridesmaid's dress.
Bridesmaid's dress, I was getting married March. She was my maid of honor. I have a list of the other two ladies that were my bridesmaids. They knew they were all to pay for the dress. If they did not pay for the dress, they were to not be in the wedding. Being she was my supposed best friend living with me, I assumed that she would pay me back for it.
Don't assume anything.
That's my fault.
That's your fault is right. It's a very nice dress. I hope you can wear it. You don't assume anything. After she didn't have $315, which she didn't give you back for the bail bondsman, and $500 she didn't have for her car, really $1,000 she didn't have for her car, how you could legitimately expect her to pay for a dress, expect her to pay for a dress, is something I quite frankly don't understand. So it looks like a very nice dress. It's yours. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $815. Thanks. That's all.
You may step out.
She lies and she didn't want to pay it back.
That's the way she is. She's an addictive, so it's fine.
Stabbing it back is stealing somebody's ATM cards and her husband's museum.
I really don't care. I think it's funny and it's asinine, and she'll get what's coming to her afterwards.
I'm not friends with criminals. They go to jail.
The next case.
All parties in the matter of Livingston versus Goebel, step forward, please.
Electrician David Livingston is suing his former friend, 29-year-old nurse's assistant Kimberly Goebel, for a series of unpaid loans. David says he met Kimberly on the internet, and she played him for a fool.
Mr. Livingston, it is your claim that the defendant, who you met on the internet and had started a relationship with, owes you for 2 loans that you made to her.
Correct.
How old are you, sir?
40.
Ever been married?
Yes.
More than once?
No.
How long?
Well, a little over a year.
Long time ago?
Yes, 13 years.
So you've been single ever since? You're looking for the right girl?
Well, one day.
She's not it.
I understand that. It was never that way, Your Honor.
No. I'm just telling you.
Right.
She's not it. When did you start communicating with Miss Goebel on the internet?
It was about June or July of last year.
And when for the first time did you meet her?
Probably about a month after we started talking.
Of 04?
Yes.
Where did you meet her?
We first met, she needed some stuff. She needed some feminine stuff. And so she asked me as a favor, as a friend, and I went and took her some feminine materials.
That's the first time you met her?
I believe so, Your Honor.
You mean you communicated on the internet and she said, I have to go get some feminine hygiene stuff, and you said, okay, I'll come and pick you up?
There was a lot of history behind that, Your Honor. Because we had talked on the phone also. We talked on the phone also.
I don't care whether you talked on the phone. I don't care whether you blew up balloons together, whether you sent pigeons to each other's homes. Doesn't make any difference to me. It just seems very peculiar that the first time that you meet a woman, she takes you to the drugstore to buy her feminine products.
Well, you know, I do have to correct myself, Your Honor. I believe the first time we met, we went to a bar for a beer.
Now that sounds like a thing. Is that what happened to Miss Goebel?
And the whole time that we were sitting there communicating, she was on the cell phone the whole time.
Listen, Mr. Livingston, if now you're telling me that the first time you met, she sat on the phone talking to somebody, and then you gave her money sometime in the future, that doesn't make you look too smart.
Well, I understand that, Your Honor, but
okay,
it was...
good. So, August is when you met for the first time.
Correct.
Now, I'd like you to tell me when you gave her money for the first time.
It was in
The
November?
questions are going to get harder, sir. Your lawsuit involves 2 different dates that you gave her money. Correct. Those should be right up there, because the questions are going to get more complex after that.
Okay. It was approximately 1st of September.
So, within a couple of weeks of meeting her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, tell me about that.
Well, she had always played this hard luck story. She was trying to change her life. Said she'd quit drugs. She was trying to get away from the people that she was hanging out with. And when I was down and out, somebody was there to help me. And she pretty much played me that she was a wounded duck, and she was trying to change her life. She said if she didn't get her phone bill paid, she couldn't talk to her mom, she couldn't talk to those people that were important to her. And so it didn't happen overnight. She asked me several times, and there were several times I said, Kim, quit calling me. And she would also call back and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I understand, and can we be friends? I said,
so
sure,
you gave her how much to pay for her phone bill?
I actually paid it for her. I went down to Smith's, got a money order, and mailed it in for $50 for her cell phone bill.
Okay, and the next?
The next was she bought a car.
When?
She purchased a car in February of this year.
So since August, you've been in a relationship with you. You're talking about February
Friendship.
2005.
Friendship.
So between September and February, I assume she didn't pay you back the $50.
Correct. She kept saying that there was a lawsuit. She was going to get a settlement.
There's my uncle who's coming and is going to help me get straight.
Correct.
How much money did you give her in February?
Again, it was not an overnight situation. Okay.
How much money did you give her in February?
It was a little over $220, somewhere right.
Okay, so that's what she owes you.
She owes me that, and also for her insurance. I paid her insurance for her.
How much was that?
$50.
What's next?
Well, basically what happened is that her birthday It was in March, 2nd of March. And I called her. She is trying to make this into a relationship gone bad. It is not a relationship gone bad. She made a verbal promise to me, and that's all that matters. I did buy her something for her birthday. I bought her a necklace that said Friends on it. Okay, I since took it back to Walmart. But, okay, but the situation is that she is very, very good about manipulating somebody's feelings to make you think that you are her friend.
Well, that's what she did to you, sir.
That's exactly what she did to me.
No, I did not.
Who do you live with?
I'm living with my ex, which is my baby's father.
How old is your baby?
2.
Do you have only one child?
No, I have 3.
Where are the other 2?
They're living with me.
Did you ever go out with Mr. Livingston and your 3 children?
Well, he came over to my son's birthday party.
And when did the father of your youngest child come back into the picture?
Well, I was living with him at the time, and he was my friend, and he came over to the birthday party.
So you were living with your boyfriend?
Well, he's my ex. I've been separated for like a year and a half.
Did you know that he was living there, Mr. Livingston?
Yes, I did.
Did you know who he was?
Yes, I did. And what I asked her is, I said, I have never in my life heard a situation to where a girlfriend and boyfriend break up and they're living together. Why is he living there, Kim? She says, because if I don't let him live there, he is not going to let me see my child. He's going to withhold my child from me. Your Honor, I come from a situation to where my ex held my children from me, and I was sensitive to that. Okay?
Mr. Livingston.
Yes, ma'am.
It sounds to me you were a little bit smitten with the defendant, because otherwise you wouldn't have even asked that question, right? So it sounds to me as
that
if
is not true, Your Honor. She was trying to better her life, and she could not better her life when he wasn't working, he wasn't paying for groceries, he wasn't doing anything but sucking her dry.
Mr. Livingston, if you want to be a benevolent guy, and if you want to be a mentor, there are kids there in the Boys and Girls Club that you can mentor.
I understand.
You were mentoring Miss Goebel because you were smitten with her.
No, ma'am, that's not true.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second, sir.
I also got a call from her ex, and he basically said, what kind of trouble do you want with me? And I said, you know what, this is none of your business. If you call here again, I'm going to file suit on you. He called right back, and he said, the disciples are going to be after you.
Mr.
Okay?
Livingston,
So,
all very interesting, sir.
thank you, Your Honor.
Fascinating. Can I see the card that you are dying to show me, Bird? Would you get that card for me, please?
Sure.
May I explain that card, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, this card was...
Yes, now you can explain this love card.
Thank you, Your Honor. She had asked me a lot of times to fix her car. I said I could not financially do it. When I could finally do it, I said, is he leaving tomorrow? And she said, yes. I said, well, that would be a better environment, because I didn't like the guy. I didn't like him around. He was an idiot. He was aggressive, everything else. So anyway, so I felt better working by myself without having him around. Not because I was closer to her, but because it was a better environment for me. Because he's a violent
Get to the card, Mr. Livingston.
Yes, ma'am. So she calls me and says, I want a relationship with you. I said, what are you talking about? You know, that's quote, end quote, I want a relationship with you, Dave. And I said, you know what, you don't have to do this, Kim. I'm your friend. I'm going to fix your car regardless. You don't have to say that. So I was out of town for 2 days. I got her that birthday present, that $40 friendship necklace. And when I came back, all of a sudden, I mean, this was really weird. I called her.
Give me the card.
Yes.
Get to the card,
I'm going to
Mr.
get to the card.
Livingston.
Yeah.
It says, I love
I
you.
bought her the card
wanna be
because
with you.
when I got back from out of town, we had a fight. Because now understand, I had spent 2 nights over there. You said that I was interested in her. I spent 2 nights over there, and I didn't lay a hand on her. Okay. The card was given to her because there was an interest there. Okay, but
Mr. Livingston.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
I'm getting older by the second, sir. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Livingston.
Yes, Your Honor.
The fact that she said to you, I want a relationship with you, doesn't answer the question. I said to you, were you smitten with her? You said no.
I was not.
But I'm speaking.
Yes,
you
Your
said
Honor.
no. You said I cared about her because she was a human being, and people helped me when I was trying to turn my life around, and I was trying to help her. It had nothing to do with a romantic feeling. So the fact that, listen to me very carefully, try to put on your listening ears.
Yes, ma'am.
The fact that she says to you, I want a relationship with you, your response is, Kim, I don't feel that way about you. I want to be your friend and help you because I'm a human being, and from one human being to another, I have no romantic interest in you at all. The fact that she said to you, I want a relationship with you, doesn't mean you send her a love letter. Unless you are smitten with her, Mr. Livingston. Now, you can talk until you're blue in the face, until I'm tall and you're short, but that's the truth of the matter.
Then, Your Honor.
No! Cross it off. If you're looking for a mate, sir, she is not it. Put a period. It's over. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well.
Your Honor, I
Goodbye.
can recover.
Good luck. Have a happy life. Cross it off. It's money down the sewer. It's over. Goodbye. Not alone.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did ask her several times, what do you see in your future, you know? And you know what? She says, I want to be friends.
He's asked me a few times if I want a relationship, and I kept telling him no.
If she changed her mind, I left it up to her.
We were friends, and, you know, I tried to show him that I was a friend.
I did it for her out of the goodness of my heart, and I guess I won't do that anymore.
I invited him over to my son's birthday party, and, you know, we talked.
People were there for me when I was down and out. I thought I was returning the favor. You know, I guess it's a lesson learned.
I'm not getting on the computer ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Liebhardt versus Malone. Step forward.
19-year-old student Angela Liebhardt is suing her ex-boyfriend, automotive technician Michael Malone, for the return of her furniture and for throwing away her computer. Michael says the computer had a virus.
Miss Liebhardt, you and the defendant lived together for a brief period of time and claimed that when you moved out, you left some of your stuff there for the defendant to store. You don't want it back anymore. And then there was a computer that Mr. Malone says he got tired of storing and it was broken anyway, so he threw it out. Okay. When did you meet him?
I met him in December of '03.
Where?
At a bar that a friend of mine owns.
How soon did you move in with him?
It was almost immediately.
What does that mean? I mean, that night, the next day?
It was probably about a week or so.
What made you make such a precipitous move?
It was an error in judgment.
Okay. What did you bring with you?
I brought my bed with me. Things were given to me during the relationship. The computer was given to me approximately a month before we broke up.
By whom?
My grandmother.
Was it a new computer?
Yes, brand new.
How old were you when you moved in with him?
18.
How old are you?
29.
29. All right. When you moved out in June?
Yep.
Under what circumstances?
He told me to leave.
Did he say why?
We were done.
You weren't getting along anymore?
Yeah.
Why did you leave the computer?
I was leaving town for a few days, and I asked him if it was okay if I left my stuff there for a few days. He told me it was all right. I could leave it there as long as I needed, and I've attempted to get it back on numerous occasions, and he's never there.
Well, after you left in June, when was the first time that you attempted to get your computer and furniture back?
It was 3 days after I moved out.
Tell me what you did.
I called him up, and he wasn't home, and I told him that that's when I would be back in town, is in 3 days.
So you called him up, he wasn't home?
Yes.
So, what'd you do next?
I waited a few days and called him again.
And did you speak to him?
I made an appointment to go and get my stuff with him.
So that was about, let's say, a week later. You made an appointment to go and get your stuff?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Are you making it up as you're going along, or is that the truth as you remember it?
Angela Liebhardt says ex-boyfriend Michael Malone threw away her computer. Michael says the computer was junk.
Step up. What is your last name?
Renee Williams.
Okay. Miss Williams, when for the first time did you contact Mr. Malone?
I started attempting to call him in October.
Did you ever speak to him?
There was a couple times. One time we set a time to meet. At that time he had...
To meet to do what?
So that I could get Angela's stuff for her.
What furniture is there?
There is like a china cabinet and like a hutch type thing, like a buffet.
Something that's wooden?
Yes, 2 wooden things.
Okay. Where are her 2 wooden chests that she has?
They're in a back room at my house.
Okay, you have no objection if she comes and gets those, do you?
No, not at all.
Good. 5 days from today, you may bring a peace officer if you wish. There'll be an order. Those 2 items are to be in the front of the house. Do you understand?
Yes.
5 days from today, 9 a.m. You'll get a formal order of that. With regard to the computer, sir, you're going to have to convince me why you don't owe her $1,073.67 for the computer.
At first, I had no problem with them getting the computer. Then the computer broke, and we were getting ready to move, and it was junk to me. I've had them say, you can come get it, you can do whatever.
Well, at that point, it was junk, sir, because if you were using it, and if it broke while you were using it, you're responsible for it.
He didn't say that we could come get it. First, he told her that it was at his mom's. Then his wife told me that it was stolen, and now he's saying that it's junk.
Step up. Your name?
April Malone.
April? Mm-hmm. Did you ever tell Miss Williams that the computer was stolen?
Yes, that's what I had known that it was. I didn't know that.
What do you mean you had known? That's what you had known that it was. Explain that to me.
I was told that it was stolen. I didn't know that it was broken.
Who told you that it was stolen?
Some of his family members.
What about him? You didn't ask him?
No.
You didn't say to your husband what happened to you? His family members told you it was stolen? April, look at me. She says to you, where's the computer? You say to her, it's stolen.
I don't know anything about the computer. To my knowledge, I knew it was stolen.
Well,
that's all
just a second. You're living with your husband, right, April?
Yes.
So it had to be your husband that told you it was stolen.
I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about this relationship.
Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm not asking you about relationship. Pay careful attention. You don't get off the hook, because I shake it until I get the truth. That if you told her the computer is stolen, you got that from your husband.
I'm not sure who I got it from. I tried resolving this problem. I offered to claim it on our home insurance policy. I called them, and I had called my father-in-law because I did not know who the insurance policy was through. I still don't.
So what did you do? You called your father-in-law and said, I want to know who our insurance carrier is, right?
Yes, I tried that.
What do you mean you tried? So did you get an answer?
No, I did not.
Why didn't you get an answer? They don't want to talk to you?
My father-in-law is only home like once a week. He travels.
God, what a con artist. I mean, does she think that we're stupid, that she's going to be able to resolve this issue with those kind of answers?
Hope springs eternal.
Sit down, April. Does it embarrass you to stand up in front of 10 million people and appear to be so foolish?
No.
How many children?
I could do.
Let me ask you a question. How many children do you have?
I don't have any children.
Try keeping it that way.
I plan on it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,073.67. 5 days from today, you can go get your property. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I tried to get my stuff, my belongings back.
She had a baby, and for money for that, pay the bills. That's all it is.
It's about me going to college and me wanting my computer that I got as a graduation present from my grandmother.
Because I'm married to him and we got an ex-girlfriend, it's just retarded.
I'm just glad it's over.
It's dumb. It's done and over with.
Don't move in with anybody.
All parties in the matter, Herzog versus Emery. Step forward, please.
Kimberly Herzog is suing her former nanny, 24-year-old Sarah Emery, for a loan to pay her bills, lost wages, and daycare costs. Sarah says Kimberly is possessive and controlling.
Ms. Herzog, the defendant was working for you as a nanny, and according to your complaint, you loaned her $1,000 because she was having some back surgery. The arrangement was that she was supposed to pay you back. You were going to deduct a certain amount of money when she returned to work from her weekly salary. So far, am I correct?
Yes.
And she had the surgery, and then, according to you, she left your employment. You want your money back.
Correct.
And Miss Emery said that you fired her without good cause, and that's why she couldn't pay you back. When did she come to work for you?
She started working for me January of 2004.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
When was the surgery?
January.
Of 2005. So for the year that she worked for you, from January 2004 till January 2005, was her work satisfactory?
Yes, until the very end, which actually led to the dismissal. I had spoken to her on multiple occasions.
About what?
About making my child sit on a couch for 3 hours while my other child was sleeping. That's not true.
When did she borrow the money from you?
She borrowed the money on January 14th.
So she borrowed the money after you had had conversations with her about her performance, her work performance. Was she scheduled to be out of work for any period of time?
Yes, she took 2 weeks off.
And there is no issue as to whether Ms. Herzog loaned you the money?
Correct.
Well, now we'll hear your defense.
Okay. In January, I gave my 2 weeks after I came back to work on Monday. Tuesday night, I called her and I told her I was going to stay with my sister. And she got angry at me and told me that I had to stay at her house.
Well, was it your usual routine to stay at her, to sleep at her house? Or
Yes, I was a live-in nanny, so I stayed at her house.
So why were you going to stay at your sister's house?
It was, she expected me to hang out with her and spend time with her at night when I was off duty. And I didn't think that I should have to stay at her house when I was paying her rent or spend time with her family if I didn't want to.
So what did you do?
We got in a big argument, and I told her that if I wanted to stay with my sister, that I could. And she got angry at me and then started accusing me of things with the boys, of not caring for them the way I should, and that I loved my nephew more and all this stuff that wasn't true. And we ended up getting a fight, and on Wednesday I couldn't handle anymore, and so when she was at work, I moved out.
When you moved out on Wednesday, how did you intend to repay the $1,000?
I was going to make payments from... I gave her a 2 weeks notice, and I was going to be able to get a job within that 2 weeks and pay her back. But 2 days later, she fired me. I tried to get unemployment, and she's fighting me on that. She's trying to do anything she can to ruin my life.
How are you supporting yourself?
Right now, I finally started to get unemployment from the state.
Go ahead. Let me hear what happened between Wednesday and Friday.
On Wednesday, I come home and everything was moved out of the house.
And she quit?
And she quit. And she had my kids the whole day that she had done this.
Fine. She quit.
Yes,
Did she work for you on Thursday and Friday?
Yes. I didn't have anything else I could do at that point.
Okay. What did you say to her on Thursday and Friday?
I told her that I didn't understand why she would do something like she had done, move out of our home like that, quit. We had done everything to help her. It really hurt. It hurt to help someone so much and not...
Did you fire her on Friday?
I did not fire her. I rendered her services at that point.
What
I couldn't
happened?
trust her in my home.
So you fired her? You let her go? Tell me what you did.
I just came home and I gave her money that she had worked and let her know that at that point on I did not want her watching my children.
Well, I would probably do the same thing. If somebody moved out of my house after almost a year working for me without notifying me, moved stuff out during the course of the day when you're supposed to be watching her children, I would probably terminate your services too. In any event, you should have let her quit. She wouldn't have collected unemployment.
I'm fighting it.
Well,
she didn't appear to be a peer hearing last week, so...
The truth of the matter is, she quit on Wednesday, and she owes you the money. You took $60 out of...
Yes, I did.
The first paycheck, the last paycheck you gave her, so she owes you $940. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $940. That's all.
What are those things you missed about?
We let her into our home, let her borrow money, and then she just quit.
She begged me to stay with her. She told me to lie to unemployment.
She's not telling the truth, and actually that is another court appearance that she did not even appear to last week.
I worked my butt off for her. I took care of her kids. I loved them. And in return, I got fired and treated like this.
I just don't think that she wanted to pay us back or be held accountable for what she did.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mason versus Fleck. Step forward.
21-year-old Mark Mason is suing his mother's friend, Michael Fleck, for damage to a motorcycle and snowboard. Mark says Michael's children are the culprits.
Is this your mother?
Yes, it is.
Just step up, please. How old are you, Mr. Mason?
I'm 21.
Where do you live?
I live at my dad's and my mom's house, kind of between both of them.
When did this incident happen with your motorcycle and snowboard?
February of this winter.
And where were you living in February?
On the weekends, I was staying at my mom's house, and during the week at my dad's because it's closer to school.
Father have a house?
Yes, he does.
But you stored a motorcycle and a surfboard in the basement at your mother's house.
I was a motorcycle and a snowboard.
Snowboard.
Yep.
Now, Miss Mason, how do you know Mr. Fleck?
We dated a few years ago.
And he came to visit you in February?
Correct.
With his 3 children?
Yes.
What was the weather like the day he came to visit?
It was winter, so in Minnesota and Wisconsin, snowy and cold.
So the children were playing indoors?
Correct.
When did they ask you if they could go down to play in the basement?
I had shown them a tour of the home, and they saw Mark has a foosball table down there, and they had seen the foosball table and wanted to go down and play with the foosball table.
So what did you say?
I told them they could go down there and play with the foosball table, but they were to not touch anything that was Mark's and to stay away from the motorcycle.
And you told that to 3 little children?
Correct.
And then you were upstairs entertaining Mr. Fleck?
We had ordered pizza, so we were waiting for the pizza to get delivered.
Okay. This is your lawsuit, Mr. Mason.
Yep.
The lawsuit wants Mr. Fleck to pay for damage allegedly done by his 3 children when they were playing with a box downstairs in the basement, playing in a big old box. And they bumped up against either your snowboard or your bicycle and caused damage to your bicycle.
That's correct.
Right? He's not going to pay for that.
Whose responsibility would it be?
Your mother's.
Why is that?
You were storing items in your mother's house. She had the opportunity to say to Mr. Fleck's children, do not go down to the basement. They would not have gone down to the basement without her permission. If they hadn't been down there playing, then the property would not have been damaged. And your mother had total control over that.
Even though it was an accident on their behalf, it's not their responsibility?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, I would like to say that at first, Mr. Fleck agreed to pay for the damages upon getting an estimate, and he even listed me as a debt on claiming bankruptcy.
Did you declare bankruptcy, sir?
I'm in the process. No, ma'am. Yes.
How much did Mr. Mason tell you that the damage was to his property?
The first figure I received was $250.
When did you receive that figure?
Say 2 weeks after this incident occurred.
Did you tell them that you would pay the $250?
No, ma'am. I said I would talk to my children.
Then why did you list him as a creditor?
I was told to do so by my attorneys.
You mean any possible person that you might owe money to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you originally tell Mr. Fleck, Mr. Mason, that the damage was $250?
Yeah, I called around to get
The
estimates.
answer is either yes or no.
Yes,
Then why are you suing him for $877.46?
because once I went to the dealer and got the estimates, that's what they came back as. That was my estimate at first. Me, not the dealer.
Did you tell that to Mr. Fleck?
I did. That was just some online researching that I did.
I don't think he owes you anything. And he says he didn't agree to pay you. He said he just listed you in his bankruptcy because in the event that you got a judgment against him, he wanted to be covered. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Any of you children touch the motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
Were you playing in a big cardboard box?
I was.
That's what happens when kids play.
So they're not responsible for their damages?
Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs, sir. Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs. And if what happened down there was an accident, should have been covered by your homeowner's insurance if you had it. Did you have homeowner's insurance?
No, ma'am.
Should have. Or else your mother's going to fix it. She should not have let Mr. Fleck's children go downstairs if your property was downstairs and she knew it was valuable. You got it? Goodbye.
The parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew the truth would come out in the end, and I knew my children were completely innocent from the start.
I mean, they may not have even known they caused the damage, but they were down there. They obviously knocked over my snowboard and did the damage, and I thought it was their responsibility, but she viewed it otherwise.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Davis versus Seco, step forward, please.
Lola Davis is suing her granddaughter's mother, 21-year-old Michelle Seco, for attorney fees as a result of a restraining order. Michelle says she was fearful of Lola kidnapping her daughter.
Miss Davis, Miss Seco is the mother of your granddaughter.
Yes.
She was not married to your son, but they do have a child together, and that child is how old?
3.5.
Where is your son now?
He's incarcerated.
For what?
Violation of a probation.
For what?
DWI.
So he has a drinking problem.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that Miss Seco filed a false application for a protective order against you and your husband,
Yes.
as a result of which you had to retain an attorney, and you want her to pay for your legal fees.
Yes, I do.
Miss Seco says that the allegations in her application were true, and it's unfortunate because you used to see your granddaughter regularly but don't anymore.
Right.
So, Miss Seco, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
When did you file this application for a protective order?
On January 11th.
Under what circumstances?
Because of the harassing phone call that I had got from him saying that Christina's father was going to kidnap her and take her up to Kansas City because he was going to work on the railroad with his dad. And I asked him about it, and he didn't know anything about it, but he was moving up there, and he was thinking of giving me sole custody to get his life straight. And I told them that, you know, they called the cops on me, and I told them that they're no longer going to see her because, you know, if Kenneth's not there...
What do you mean they called the cops on you? For what?
For checking on the well-being. They called the cops several times on me and family services, and I have the reports here if you'd like to see them.
I would. And I'd also like to see the application that you filed for the protective order.
Okay.
So you filed a petition in which you allege as follows.
Mm-hmm.
She is constantly harassing me if I don't let her see her granddaughter. She makes me out to be an unfit mother. She's several times called Division of Family and Children's Services and called the cops on me.
Yes.
When I would go to pick up my child, we would get into arguments and she would yell at me and threaten to take my child away. She's constantly harassing me about my 3-year-old daughter, which I fear she might kidnap and flee the state.
Yes.
Well, what did she say about kidnapping your child, or are these fears that you have that were born out of the fact that she said, if you don't let me see her, something will happen.
She told me that whenever her son Kenneth was moving up to Kansas City and that his father had a lot of money and they were going to get full custody and make me out to be an unfit mother.
I never said that.
Just a second. So?
And I asked Kenneth about it, and he said that was not true. He was going to move and stay up there and get his life on track because of his previous history, and he was going to give me sole custody.
Lola Davis says the mother of her granddaughter, Michelle Seco, took out a false restraining order against her.
How many grandchildren do you have, Ms. Davis?
I have 13 total.
Unfortunately, you can't sue the person who granted her a temporary restraining order. You were granted a temporary restraining order, then you had a trial?
Yes.
And at the trial, the case was dismissed?
Yes.
Well, should never have been a temporary restraining order based upon these allegations. There is not one allegation here that is sufficient, in my judgment, for a court to have granted her a temporary restraining order.
Judge Judy?
Yes.
When she filed the ex parte orders on us, we had retained the attorneys to appear for us on our behalf, and by the time we did get to court, the whole case was dismissed. And I have a copy of the court transcript.
I don't have to read the transcript. I've been in the business a long time. When you file for a protective order, one of the things that you're stating is, based upon a fact, you are in fear for your safety or the safety of your child. Fact. She doesn't state any facts here. What she says is, I fear she might hire a hitman to kill me. Well, maybe she's crazy. Maybe that's why she has a fear. Maybe she's nuts. But I fear that she might kidnap my daughter. Well, that's not what she said, according to you, Ms. Seco. According to you, what she said is, my husband is moving, and according to you, she said, and they have a lot of money. The parents have a lot of money, the relatives have a lot of money, and they're going to sue and try to get sole custody of the child. Whether that's true or not, that's legal. Mm-hmm. So there is nothing in your petition that should have inspired a judge to grant a temporary restraining order. So you're suing the wrong person, because she's not a lawyer. She didn't pull the wool over anybody's eyes. She made statements like she was, free thinking, and somebody who wasn't using their noodle granted her a protective order, temporary, and by the time it got down to push comes to shove, they thought better of it and either dismissed it, or she didn't show up and they dismissed it because she wasn't there. Or was there a hearing?
Yes, there was.
There was a hearing, and the court said there's no basis for a restraining order.
Correct.
Right. I think that there is probably a larger picture here, and that larger picture is, it's unfortunate that you're not seeing your granddaughter anymore.
I'm trying to file for grandparents' rights, Your Honor.
That's kind of a hard thing to do, because the law is very strict with regard to that now. Is there any way that you can envision having Mr. and Mrs. Davis see their granddaughter?
I mean, I didn't have a problem with it at all in the beginning until they started calling family services and cops coming out for false accusations.
Okay, now let me ask you this question. You live at home with your parents?
Yes.
Do your parents have any objection to this Davises coming over to see your granddaughter for an hour or two in their house?
I mean, if it's at my house, I don't think they would really have a problem with it.
Well, Ms. Davis, if those are the circumstances now, at least for now, that Ms. Seco is prepared to allow you to come and spend some time with your granddaughter, I would do that.
I am going to do that, Your Honor, because I love her very deeply.
They have 13 grandchildren.
Right.
You have one child. Your daughter only has 4 grandparents.
Yep.
Your son has a problem.
Yes, he does.
So, better be nice to her.
Yes.
Why don't you see while you're here if you can arrange for a time, an hour maybe on a Sunday? That would be reasonable.
Yes.
And it would certainly show me a level of maturity on your part.
Exactly, and I've always told her that she is the grandmother and nothing is ever going to change that, whether me and her son aren't talking or not, and I've always told her, even before I had my child.
So, why don't you see if this Sunday you can make some time? You live close enough, don't you?
Yes. Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What is our Judy? Can they step out?
Well, I'm very thankful that Judge Judy is going to let Michelle make a decision to let me see my granddaughter.
We love that baby, and we used to have her all the time. Now we don't get to see her at all,
Maybe an hour is better than nothing.
I appreciated that she tried bringing us back together, which is unfortunate that all the turns of the events happened.
I love each and every one of them, but Christina's been the closest one to us.
We all love her, and that's what matters the most.
Room, please, all rise. Excuse me.
They don't care. Judges number 179 on the calendar in the matter of Ramos versus Taylor.
I care, Bird.
Okay. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
All right, Miss Ramos, for some reason that I don't understand that you're going to tell me, you lent this man some money.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you have a note to prove it.
Yes, I do.
He says he paid you.
No, he hasn't.
And that he can prove it. So first, Miss Ramos, you want to tell me why you lent him money in the first place, how much you lent him, and when he was supposed to pay you back.
I loaned him $700.
When?
This was in May.
Why?
I felt sorry for him.
Why?
Because he told me that he needed money to pay rent.
Well, how long had you known him before you gave him the $700?
I met him earlier that month.
Where?
At a bar.
Did you, other than just meeting him at the bar, did you become friends? Did you date?
Yes, friends.
Just friends?
Mm-hmm.
From the time you met him at the bar until the time you gave him the $700, how many times did you see him?
Quite a few times.
2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times?
Probably about 10 times.
Where did you see him? I'm trying to figure out why you would lend him $700.
Where did I see him?
Yeah.
I would call him, and then we made arrangements to for my mortgage loan.
Is that your business, sir?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
You're a mortgage broker?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a mortgage broker?
2.5 years.
How many mortgages have you brokered?
Probably, on an estimate, if the market's doing good, about 10 to 15 a month, if I'm lucky.
And you've been lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah? So what'd you need $700 for from her?
Well, what happened, basically, is I met her and a friend at a bar, okay? I was talking to the friend at first, and then I told her, I said, I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'd like to talk to you, but no dice. Well, this continued. We called each other for lunch. We seen each other for lunch, and she's kicking it with me and everything. And
she's what?
She's hanging out with me. You know, we went to lunch together. We were sitting there talking.
Did you say she's kicking it with
Yeah, that's just what she's doing. So, you know, to make a long story short, we got to talking about some personal things, and we made an agreement. She said she didn't have to go back to work. We went to the house. We spent the night with each other. Okay, it's not 10 or 15 times. She's at my house every day. She took me to work every day. So what was happening is during this time, I left one company to start another one. They were having some problems with their payroll. So I asked her to do me a favor. She did it, and I said, no problem, I would pay her back. She's saying I never gave her any money. I did give her a form of $200 in cash when they had paid me. Okay, during this time...
Prove it.
Oh, well... You know, she knows I gave it to her, and I'm not going to fight that. But during this time, I made an agreement with her. I told her, I said, well, Diana, check this out. I have a compensation agreement. I could lower my fees and what I'm going to charge you for the loan. And if you take that form of payment that way, you know, then I won't owe you anything. She agreed to it, okay? Then the holiday kicked off. 4th of July, she calls me up, 911 on my pager. I call her back. So she's telling me that her daughter... okay, who was leaving to go to San Antonio, had told her boyfriend about us and everything. So the boyfriend's on the phone, and he's raising sand and this, that, and the other. So I asked her, you know,
kicking in.
Basically.
Just a second, let me get this. I like to learn something new every day, sir. Kicking in.
Kicking it.
Kicking it.
Kicking it.
Kicking it. And raising sand.
Yeah.
Raising sand. In English.
In other words, he's being very hostile.
Order.
Okay? He's being very hostile about this situation that he's been told about me and her being together and sleeping with each other. So I asked her, what do you want me to do? And she said, well, I don't want you to tell him. I said, you know that's going to cost you. Okay, she agreed to it. I said, you know that's going to cost you to keep my mouth shut because I was getting tired of being the number 2 guy.
Let me try to understand this in English. You say that the loan that she made to you of $700 was forgiven by her because you agreed to, just don't shake your head or anything, I'm just trying to understand this, because you agreed to keep your mouth shut and not tell her boyfriend that you had slept with her.
Exactly.
Exactly! Mr. Taylor, kicking it, I didn't understand. Raising sand?
Raising sand.
Raising sand, I don't understand. But I want to ask you if you understand the following phrase. Did you ever hear this phrase? Blackmail.
No, it wasn't blackmailing her. Not at all, because she asked me not to tell him. When she called me, I asked her what was this about. She said, Jennifer told John
Gotcha, I understand
what's going
that.
on. Okay, so I wasn't blackmailing anyone.
Somebody told the boyfriend, according to you, I'm not even going to ask you if this is true, but somebody told the boyfriend, she asked you not to confirm that with the boyfriend.
Yes.
And you said, I'll do it. I'll tell him it's not true if you forgive this loan.
It wasn't in part of the loan. When I said you're going to pay for that, it had nothing to do with,
well,
with
I
the
don't
loan
understand. What is
part
the
of
pay? You're going to pay for this. What did that mean?
In other words, what I meant to her, she was going to pay for it, is that we were going to have a long talk about me having to, bow down and not tell him what really was going on. Because the thing about it was, I felt like I was going to pay for it because when I seen him...
Were you, just a second, Mr. Taylor, were you hurt and offended, sir?
Yeah, I was.
Were you mortally wounded?
No.
You don't look as if you were mortally wounded, sir.
Oh, I wasn't?
It doesn't appear to me as if you were mortally wounded, sir. So let me understand this. You had, according to you, an evening of frolic with the plaintiff.
It was more
Plus,
than an evening.
Let's say 2 evenings. Let's
no,
say 5 evenings.
Every night for the last
Every
3
night.
weeks.
You had every night of frolic with the plaintiff.
Yeah.
And she had every night of frolic with you.
There you go.
Good. And you have her $700.
No. Wrong.
Oh, yeah?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He wanted a relationship with me. Not want anything to do with him.
You're right. It takes 2 to tango. She had to do something.
And later today,
I don't think that it's right for anybody to slash anybody's tires. So if you did that, that was really, really wrong. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Very, very bad.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mortgage broker Mark Taylor claims Diana Ramos is angry that he broke off their secret affair. Diana says she just wants her money back.
Did he give you the $200?
No.
Did he give you any money?
Yes.
How much?
100.
Okay. Could you prove that you gave her more than $100, sir?
No, because at the time...
All right, so let's say you now owe her $600.
That's not what the case was.
Just a second. How much money did you pay her back?
I gave her $100 in cash, and then I gave her on 2 occasions $50. So it's totaling to $200, and she knows it because she took me to cash the checks when I gave it to her.
Assuming that that's true, that you gave her $200, where's the other $5?
I agreed to, as a part of this mortgage loan, because I have a compensation agreement on her, as well as a good faith estimate that was provided, and a mortgage origination statement. And I said, look, I'll deduct the difference of the money of what I owe you off the fees. I didn't hear anything else about it.
Did you agree to it? Did you agree to that?
No.
Did you buy this house?
No.
She's still
You didn't buy the house?
No, I didn't agree to anything.
Well, so what did she get from it, sir?
It's to be determined.
Just a second. She didn't buy the house. She didn't use the mortgage.
She's still pending. It's to be determined. She was purchasing a new home. All I was doing was creating the financing. She knew that she needed to go out and find a home. And I have the compensation agreement that's still good on you to the 3rd of October right here, that this is what was going to be performed up until those calendar days.
Right now, she didn't do anything. She didn't agree to anything. You owe her the money, sir. Did you ever hear the expression? You heard kicking it? Mm-hmm. Sanding... What? Sanding?
Raising sand.
Raising sand, right?
She
Did you ever
agreed to
hear,
that.
don't mix business with pleasure?
Of
Did you ever
course.
hear that? So, don't mix business with pleasure. So, you borrowed money from somebody as a friend because you were between paychecks. Mm-hmm. And then you wanted to have a sort of work it off on this thing, on this agreement that you had.
I told her she could take that or I would pay her back. And even on the promissory note, asked her to provide a promissory note to you because I told her that if I didn't agree to pay her by the 17th of July, that we would make arrangements to have it settled. I did not hear from Mrs. Ramos. The next thing,
You acknowledge, sir, that you had to sign a promissory note.
right, but
That you signed it. Let me see the note.
She has
Here.
it.
Let me see the note, please. You were supposed to pay her, sir, half by the 17th of July. Did you
That
pay her
is
half?
correct. No.
Good. Then you defaulted.
That's because she had made other arrangements with me prior to that date.
I don't believe you.
Okay. Well,
I don't believe
can
you.
ask
I
her.
don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I
Then
think
when I was served the paper, she documented on there that she failed to call me. That is not what the case was. She called my place of employment and personally put this through someone else. I called her place of employment, told them, look, we're having a personal problem over something. I would like
it's
for her
not a personal problem, sir. She lent you $700. You were supposed to pay for it 2.5 months ago. You didn't pay for it. And then you started to do a tap dance. You said, I won't tell your boyfriend, but it's going to cost you.
No, that
B,
wasn't
that's
the
according to
case.
you. You said that 2 seconds ago, sir.
Yeah.
B, we'll work it out in this deal. I'll take less in my commission. I'll take less in my commission than I would ordinarily charge you, and we'll call it even. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Taylor, if a friend lends you $700 in your time of need, you ought to do this mortgage agreement for no commission.
No.
No, listen to me, sir. For nothing. If you were in a bind,
okay.
If you were in a bind, as you were, I'm sure that you wouldn't go and ask this lady for money if you weren't really in a bind. And she helped you.
That's not how that went off.
It would seem to me, that's what you said. You said I was between checks,
Yeah,
and I needed
but
some help.
She volunteered to do it.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Get him out of here.
Parties are excused.
Yeah.
Step out.
You got your money back, but you know you was doing me and doing John
I
at the
don't
same
think so.
time. Ashley,
I
bring
don't
him down
think
here. He'll
so.
tell you. John, if
No.
you get to see this, buddy, like I told you in Texaco, been there,
No.
done that, got the T-shirt. Have a good one.
And now the next case.
All parties on Taylor versus Lee. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Crystal Taylor is suing her ex-boyfriend Fred Lee because he didn't pay his phone bill. He says Crystal slashed his tires.
This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes, it did.
That's past tense.
Yes, it's past.
Your complaint says you let him put a phone in your name.
Yes.
Big mistake.
I know now.
He didn't pay the bill,
No, he didn't. He didn't pay a couple of bills.
and the total on that phone is now
$967 and some change.
And you say
I intended on paying the phone bill, but she came up to my job and slashed 3 of my tires. So that's when I decided not to pay the bill, because the three tires that
You
she
have no proof
slashed,
that
the 3 tires that she slashed came up to $340 a piece,
Sir.
which was over $1,200.
I read that in your answer that you paid $350 a piece for tires.
Why didn't you get some cheaper ones?
Hey, don't speak to him.
Okay.
Bird, I haven't bought tires in a while, and I know about inflation. Did you ever hear of tires that cost $350 a piece?
Not on any vehicle out of the group.
What kind of car is it that you drive, sir?
An Acura Legend Coupe, a very expensive car, and the wheels are very expensive too.
You mean, when did you buy these tires, sir?
May 6th.
Why didn't you pay the phone bill instead of buying the tires?
Exactly.
Shut! Hey!
Okay.
Do I look like I need help? I would suggest you be quiet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If you're winning, you're supposed to be quiet.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
If you owe somebody, you can find yourself a 1965 VW Bug with $50 tires and make sure that your obligations are paid for.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Crystal Taylor is suing her ex-boyfriend Fred Lee because he didn't pay his phone bill. He says Crystal slashed his tires.
Why didn't you pay the phone bill instead of buying $350 tires for your Acura?
The phone bill wasn't due at that time.
Yeah, oh.
When the phone bill came...
No, just a second. The phone bill was over an extended period of time, Mr. Lee. Are you telling me that you paid the phone bill each month and that it was 1 month that it was $967?
No, actually,
No. Let me see the phone bills. How many times did you pay the phone bill, sir?
I paid the phone bill a couple of times.
How many is a couple?
I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times.
Let me see proof
I don't
of
have the
it.
exact
Let me
proof.
see you. Let
I
me
don't
see your
have
proof
at all.
All right.
Basically, I went tit for tat. The bill came, she slashed my tires. I felt we were even.
Let me explain something to you, sir.
Okay.
Let's talk about her bill, her April bill.
Okay.
The prior balance that you owed in April was $80.
Yeah.
Then you had a Pacific Bell charge for $355.21. That's in April. In June, sir, the current charges on your phone were $163.
Okay.
But the total due was $967.90, with a prior unpaid balance of $804.58. So it doesn't look to me as if you ever paid this bill. Ever. Now, you never paid the bill.
I was going to pay the bill.
Listen, did you ever hear the expression, shoulda, woulda, coulda?
Yeah.
I should have done that. I
She
could
shouldn't have
done
slashed my tires.
Just a second. Just a second. Did you see her slash your tires?
I have a witness.
Did you see her slash your tires?
I was at work doing my job.
Listen, I don't think that it's right for anybody to slash anybody's tires.
Especially at the amount that I paid.
Absolutely right. Now, because that would be, if you did that, if you did that,
She did.
if you did that, it would be taking the law in your own hands.
Which she
Do you
did.
Hey, so if you did that, that was really, really wrong to slash his $350 a piece tires that he bought instead of paying the phone bill, which is in your name. That would have been a very, very bad thing to do. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Very, very bad. But he doesn't have any proof that you did that. He thinks that you did that, but he doesn't have any proof.
Why would I tell you I slashed your tires?
You told me.
I didn't tell you that.
I don't believe
and
that.
We're not in court for them tires. We're not in court for that.
Miss Taylor,
You will be.
if you open your
won't.
mouth again, you're going to be a very unhappy person.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
It was very bad of you to buy 3 new tires when you had this outstanding bill, sir.
I had to drive my car. I had to get back and forth to work.
Oh.
I had to buy them.
Well, I want to tell you something, sir. I guarantee you, whatever work you do, I make more money than you do, and I don't drive an Acura with $350 a piece tires. So if you owe somebody for a phone bill that's in their name, you can find yourself a 1965 VW Bug, drive it around, right, with $50 tires, and make sure that your obligations are paid for. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $967. Thank you very much. That's
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He was no good. I just want to let all the girls in LA know Fred is no good. That's that.
Okay.
That's that.
I'm very good. I'm definitely somebody else's game. So, all you women in LA, I am single.
Van says while skating on the beach, he bumped into Henderson Webb's baby stroller. He's suing because Mr. Webb assaulted him, causing severe dental injuries.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Van versus Webb. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am. Sir.
Mr. Van,
Yes, ma'am.
your complaint alleges that the defendant assaulted you by punching you in the mouth,
Correct.
something that he acknowledges he did.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you tell me how this came about?
Okay. On 4th of July, my brother, his friend, Mr. Rohr, and I were skating northbound on a bicycle path heading towards Manhattan Beach Pier. When we reached the
rollerblading.
Yes, rollerblading. And as we reached the 2600 section of the Strand, the Hermosa Beach Police Department were breaking up a party, and so it became very congested, and they rerouted the direction of the people that were on the path heading north to head back south again. So at that time, we complied with the police officers, and we started to head south.
So they were making them make a U-turn.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so it came to a standstill. And so a person behind me had a bicycle, and they accidentally tripped me, and I accidentally fell on top of the Webb's baby stroller. As soon as I fell on top of the...
Okay, so you were walking with your wife.
Correct.
And you had your baby in the stroller.
We had baby in a baby jogger.
What's a baby jogger?
It's like a stroller, a little bit different, designed for really running with the child.
One of those long, pointy things that
Exactly.
I've seen? Okay. So it's got 3 wheels?
Exactly.
Gotcha. Go.
As soon as I fell on top of the baby stroller accidentally, Mr. Webb immediately pulled me off the stroller, and before I had an opportunity to apologize to him, he became belligerent and started yelling and screaming at me and using profanity. And so since he refused to listen to me, I raised my tone of voice to the level of his and said, "What the hell are you talking about? It was an accident," because he even had the audacity to accuse me of deliberately endangering his child. And the whole time that he
Your Honor.
Could get to you.
During this whole time, he was more interested in...
Don't tell me what he was interested in. Just tell me what he said to you and what you said to him.
Well, I can't recall everything that he said to me. Just that he was screaming, yelling, and he was using profanity at me. And he deliberately accused me of endangering his child by falling on top of the baby stroller.
Okay.
So after we exchanged words, I then attempted to proceed to leave. And at that point in time, Mrs. Webb then confronted me, and she started to do the same thing to her husband.
Just tell me what she said.
Oh, I can't recall the exact words, Your Honor, so I don't want to guess at it. But she, too, was, yelling, screaming, using profanity against me. And at that point in time, I became upset, and I told her that she was an unreasonable for not allowing me an opportunity to apologize or to look at the situation that it was accidental, and I had no intentions of hurting their child. So
You didn't say all that. You just called her an unreasonable beep.
Exactly.
Okay.
So at that time, I attempted to leave again, and after I left, Mr. Webb then pursued me and cut me off from leaving, and he attempted to pick a fight with me. He was yelling at me, saying that I cannot call his wife a So I wouldn't allow myself to get in an altercation with him because there was no reason. It wasn't for self-defense. In addition to that, there were several police officers behind us. So he then placed his right hand on my chest, on my left side of the chest, attempting to further provoke me to a fight. And I still refused to engage in a fight. So
Your Honor, that's...
So I then warned Mr. Webb several times to remove his hand from my chest. And when he didn't do it immediately, so that's why I had to do it several times. When he finally removed his hand from his chest, as soon as he put his hand down, he then attacked me and punched me in the mouth. Immediately, his hand came down. And that's when I fell backwards, hitting my head on the ground. And when I tried to get back to my feet again, I got onto my knees. Then Mr. Webb then jumped on top of my back. And in a deranged manner was yelling, "You can't call my wife." And he kept on pushing my head towards the ground while he was on top of me. Afterwards, my brother intervened, and then a police officer came by. And when I realized that I was injured from the bleeding,
where were you bleeding from?
From my lip. My lip became lacerated from the punch, and I then charged Mr. Webb with citizen's arrest and told a police officer who was standing close by of my charge.
Okay. You had some medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What were the medical bills?
The medical bills were for the oral surgery, for my tooth to be put a crown put on it, and the actual crown price.
How much?
That came out to, excuse me, and also the emergency room bills as well. And that came out to approximately $901. And in addition to that, my one tooth was shattered, another tooth is cracked, and that tooth has not died yet. So the dentist wants to wait until the tooth does die, and so I have an estimate of that, which is $1,275.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
teach children from a very early age to use their words. Say that to toddlers. Use your words, don't use your fists. And you didn't. You did it because you got hot.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Norm Van says after bumping into Henderson Webb's baby stroller while rollerblading, Mr. Webb assaulted him, causing dental injuries. Mr. Webb claims he hit Norm in self-defense.
All right, Mr. Webb, now let's hear your version of what happened, sir.
Okay. I think that was a very creative version that you just heard.
Mr. Webb, just let me hear your version of what happened.
My wife and I left 4th of July midday to walk down the Strand with our daughter Haley in the baby jogger. When we approached the 26th Street intersection, there was a huge crowd and that we were just kind of instantly enveloped in. Virtually nobody was moving, maybe at just a very small shuffle. People were going every which direction. I was going northbound on the Strand with the stroller at a little bit of an angle there. When kind of out of my peripheral vision, I saw some movement, and before anything else, I felt a strong hit against me and down on the jogger. And that was Norm Van. I looked down, he was full body, full weight, impacted upon the jogger. I started trying to help him up, and I said something to the nature of, get up, get off, watch where you're going. He was immediately very indignant with me as far as profanities. I learned some that day. He got off on me and said a lot of things in my face about I'm a effing this, don't touch me, it's not my fault, get your hands off of me, etc. But it was one of those things. I was terrified, obviously. My wife was more petrified than I was. At that point, I looked under the baby jogger has a canopy on it. Haley was crying and bawling. Wasn't really the place to get her out and find out how she was. Stepped back behind the jogger.
But she was fine.
She didn't have any visible damage.
She was fine.
Correct. Stepped back behind the jogger to resume our snail's pace, so to speak. My wife's still behind me when the next thing I heard was him going off on twice the tirade with my wife. And, at a distance of like that from her face. He called her B-I-T-C-H, but that was the nicest word he called her. We all felt threatened, I think. We had no place to go. We were in a very small space. I kind of put my hand between them. I never once touched Norm Van until I actually hit him. I kind of stepped in front of my wife and in front of Norm Van, so that they were behind me. And he continued to be very threatening, very belligerent, indignant, coming at me this way. I thought for sure he was going to attack me. I've got my wife and child behind me, and I did hit him in the mouth. He never hit the ground, number one. He kind of squatted or kneeled. I got behind him and put my arms around him and locked my hands to contain him. I never tried to hit his head on the cement. I did I hit him once, and that's all that happened. Okay? Held him, contained him. He started screaming, "I'm going to sue you, citizen's arrest." I took a few steps back, and then he started coming at me again. And I said to him 3 or 4 times, "Stay away, stay back." I couldn't understand why he was stepping towards me again. He was pointing his finger saying, "I want you to get arrested, you're in trouble," and I said, "Stay away," because I didn't know why he was coming at me again. I thought he could attack me.
What do you mean you didn't know why, sir? You would hit him in the mouth.
Well, I figured he was going to attack me.
What you figured.
Right, I felt threatened by him.
You hit him in the mouth.
Yes, I did.
Mr. Webb, I've walked many a stroller, and I've had footballs come into the stroller, and people, it's other times, throwing a can out of a car that almost misses the stroller by that much. Has that ever happened to you, Bert?
Sure, Judge. 4 kids.
Yeah? So you know what you want to do to the person who threw their soda can out of a window that almost hits your baby? You want to kill him. That's the immediate reaction.
I agree, but I think that's a little different circumstances than we faced.
Well, I'm not so sure, Mr. Webb. What I'm talking about is the maternal or paternal instinct when anything, threatens your child. The adrenaline starts to pump. And you don't want to hear anything about accident, because those kind of accidents aren't supposed to happen. I mean, when you say to me, "I tried to help him off the carriage."
Absolutely.
Well, you weren't helping him. You were getting him off there as fast as you could so you could check on your baby. You just wanted to get him off. If you could have used a stick of TNT, it wouldn't have made any difference whether he was okay or not. You wanted to get a look and see what whether your baby was hurt. Mr. Webb, that's totally understandable, sir.
Well, I was understanding enough to realize once he was up that could be over. That's why I stepped behind the baby jogger again to proceed at whatever pace I could to get away from Mr. Van.
But he didn't hit you, you hit him.
Correct. I hit him because I had no place to go, and he was posing an immediate threat to my wife and my child.
No, I don't think so, sir. He was using his words. You lost your temper. You got angry because he said something to your wife, and there's no question in my mind that if I called your wife up here, she would say that she didn't say anything to him. Is that right? Did you say anything to him?
Oh, yeah, I asked him to, just move away and get away from the stroller because after the confrontation had happened, between my husband and Mr. Van, he didn't just go on his way. He was, this far away from both of our faces, just telling us that, it's not his fault and, F this and F that. And
well, let me ask you a question. Did either of you say to him, I know it was an accident, just that everything's okay now?
I said, move on. Let's forget about this. It's over. And that's why I tried to go northbound. He was engaging my wife at that time.
Had your wife said anything to him before he was engaging you? Did you say to him, no? I don't necessarily believe that, Miss Webb. I don't say that because it's not common sense. You're a mother, your baby's in the stroller, I can imagine you broke out in an immediate sweat when you saw this body, this huge body over your baby. And you're trying to stand there and tell me that you were behaving in a calm...
No, we're not. We were both petrified, as our statements will both say.
Mr. Webb, unfortunately, we don't have candid cameras all around the place so that you can view what your reaction was when he fell on your baby.
Right.
Because what you're suggesting to me is your actions were wholly appropriate and consistent with a very moderate tone and a very moderate reaction to an accident. And I guarantee you, sir, it belies common sense to suggest that you were that kind of calm. And your wife was that kind of calm. Okay. So you hit him. You got to pay for his damage. No question about that.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
That's pathetic that you would even lie right here.
No, it's pathetic that you would even lie about lying.
I think it's pathetic that you didn't protect your brother.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rollerblader Norm Van says Henderson Webb assaulted him after bumping into his baby stroller. Mr. Webb says he hit him in self-defense.
Now, I want you to look at these things, sir.
Your Honor, can I make one last quick statement?
Sure.
The fact that the police officers did not arrest me or do anything but take a report, combined with the fact that the first communication I got from Mr. Norm Van was via a lawyer named Daniel Lieb, led me to believe that there wasn't a lot of belief from the standpoint of the police officers that this was something they wanted to pursue, and that it was something that Norm Van merely wanted to get money out of from a precarious situation. And that's why I received a letter asking if I had a certain type of insurance to find out how much coverage or what kind of a plaintiff's win they could get out of this.
Well, Mr. Webb, let me address your first question first, sir. The fact that the police took the information with regard to this case and decided that they weren't going to, at that moment, separate you from your wife and your baby, placing you in handcuffs and taking you off to the pokey, showed good judgment on the part of the police. They clearly understood that there had been an accident that could have been dangerous, that you overreacted to that, but that didn't rise to the level of somebody who was a dangerous person walking around the street. Certainly, unless somebody else fell on your baby carriage, this wasn't going to happen again. So the police exercised good judgment. They did not necessarily have to arrest everyone. To address your second point, if you got a letter from a lawyer that says, what kind of coverage do you have, because he wants to be reimbursed for whatever his out-of-pocket medical expenses were as a result of you punching him in the mouth, I think that that's wholly appropriate.
Why wouldn't you go to small claims court right off the bat instead of trying to find out how much money he could possibly take advantage of?
Why would he want to do that? People aren't supposed to abuse the court system if they can resolve things without going to court. If they can resolve things without going to court, why would you want to spend a day in court, have to go down there, maybe spend 2 days? Why would you want to do that? That's wholly appropriate, sir. People encourage that. That's why we have mediation services that are blossoming throughout this country to relieve an overburdened court system with cases that really shouldn't be in court. People accepting responsibility for things that they do and saying, all right, I'll pay what I can. I don't find anything inappropriate about that. Now, Mr. Van,
yes, ma'am.
I want you to look at these bills that you've just presented to me, and I want you to tell me exactly what your out-of-pocket expenses were, sir, that were not covered by insurance. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am. That's $901.35.
Okay, because the rest was covered by your insurance.
Correct.
Okay.
In addition to that is the estimate to do the additional work from my other tooth, which is injured but hasn't died yet, which is $1,275.
And that was a result of this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Van, see, so far I've given it to these people because I think that Mr. Webb was wrong to punch you in the face. And I believe that what happened with the baby was an accident. Right? You also seem like, you know, the kind of guy who should understand that they were really upset. Do you have children?
No, ma'am.
Well, if you have children, you'll come to understand that something happens to a baby of yours. All of those protective juices start to flow. So the fact that Mrs. Webb, and I do believe she opened up her mouth to you, it was probably not the right thing to do to respond to it the way you did. Verbally. You could have just kept walking away from her and just ignored her. Because she was hot, because a baby was, for that moment, at risk. Do you understand?
Agreed.
You got to use your noodle.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Mr. Webb, you behaved unreasonably because you hit him. You can walk around that every which way, but you behaved wrongly because we teach children from a very early age to use their words. You say that to toddlers. Use your words. Don't use your fists. Don't be physical. Use your words. And you didn't. You didn't because you got hot. And I understand why you got hot, but you got to pay for it. All right? Your total expenses come to about $2,200.
That's correct.
A little bit less, but it's about $2,200. And you're suing the defendant for $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you're entitled to that. Judgment is for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,000. That's
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Like I said, I jumped behind the jogger to just get out of harm's way, get out of the situation. And when he re-engaged my wife, I realized I couldn't count on his state of mind.
Why did you say on the subpoena that the only reason that it says, why did you not ask Mr. and Mrs. Webb for the money? You know what you said? Because Mrs. Webb told me to suit them. Learn your English.
And that's exactly what you said.
Oh, I told you to sue us?
My brother's a witness on that one. Imagine me trying to collect my money, which is just due to me, according to Judge Judy, from the Webb couple. Can you imagine how difficult that must be? That is the reason why that I wanted to work through the insurance company, because they would be more civilized and much easier to deal with than the Webb couple.
Burge is suing his soon-to-be ex-wife Michelle, claiming she threw away precious photos and memorabilia of his son.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Yeah, this is case number 292 on the calendar in the matter of Burge versus Burge. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Mr. Burge, you claim that your soon-to-be ex-wife, who was the defendant in this case, destroyed or threw away some irreplaceable memorabilia of yours after you were out of the house. You place a dollar value on that memorabilia at $5,000. She says that you were an abusive drunk who hit her, left the house, disappeared for months. She had no idea where you were, and ultimately got fed up with storing this stuff and just got rid of it. Correct?
That is correct.
So, how long were you married to each other, actually living together?
On and off for close to 3 years, give or take. We were only married right at 4 months, though, when I left.
And I gather you were living with the defendant's father.
That is correct.
All right, sir, tell me about your departure from the house.
The evening that I left, I was quite intoxicated, if you'll bear with me. This is the first time I've seen Michelle since the evening that I've left, and I still haven't really gotten over her, but The night that I left, I did become intoxicated. I went back to her father's mobile home, whereas we had another argument, and I was intoxicated enough that I don't recall whether or not she hit me and knocked me down or she shoved me and knocked me down. At that time, I got up, I slapped her, and I left, and I never went back. That was my understanding with her. I had told her if I ever raised my hand to her, that I would leave. And that was the only time, Your Honor, that I had ever raised my hand to her.
So you left?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long were you gone before you made a request for this property that you say you left behind?
It was about 2 months.
And how did you make that request for the property?
By telephone originally?
Talking directly to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what property did you leave behind, sir?
I left my clothing, camping equipment, fishing equipment, some tools, an awful lot of books, memorabilia, my son's photographs from when he was a child. And I requested if I paid UPS prepaid, would she box these items up and send them to me? And at that time, I never really got a response from her.
Well, did she tell you that she had already disposed of all the stuff?
Not at that particular time, no.
Where were you for those 2 months, sir?
I was working, living in a little town called Antioch. I was living with my sister, and I was working, pumping gas.
Why didn't you call the very next week and make arrangements to pick up your stuff?
The emotional situation is that I had been fairly mentally abused by her on a number of occasions. As a matter of fact, there were times that I spent as many days in my van living there. This is my secure area. After an argument, you have to excuse me.
Do you have a drinking problem, Mr. Burge?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Has it been a long-standing problem with alcohol?
Yes, ma'am. Although this was one of the reasons I believe that Michelle had asked me to move in with her father. He also has a drinking problem, and he needed a drinking buddy.
Were you drinking all during the 3-year relationship with Michelle?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Michelle.
Yes.
Why don't you first tell me your version of what happened on the night that your husband left?
He was supposed to meet me that evening, and we were going, my son and him and I were going to go to MGM Adventure Park. He never came home. He never showed or called. And so when I returned from the park, because I went ahead and went, I found him at a casino in town, saw his van parked in the garage, and I went in and we looked for him, my son and I both. He wasn't there. So we went on home, and there he sat on the ground, very intoxicated, and laughing. And I said, thanks a lot for showing up for us. And I did push him on the shoulder, and he fell back. But I proceeded to walk down the hall and out, and he came after me, and he hit me with a fist, closed fist, like a man would hit a man. And it spun my head around. And I couldn't close my jaw for 7 days thereafter. At that point, we called the police. I was yelling, Dad, he's hitting me. Help me. He came out of the bedroom, and the police were called. At this point, Glenn tried to take my car and leave because his van was obviously still parked at the casino. And I pulled him out of the car, and I recovered my car. At that point, he walked down the street, got a neighbor to take him back to his van at the casino, and I never saw him again or heard from him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I even went into rehab for 3 days.
But didn't work.
Well, after being out of rehab for 3 or 4 days, Michelle would make me a cocktail.
And later today,
I wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for you, Susie. And every time I do something for you, this is the way I get it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 52-year-old engineer Glenn Burge is suing his soon-to-be ex-wife Michelle, claiming she threw away precious photos and memorabilia of his son.
What had you done with all of his belongings?
Put him in an unlocked shed outside of our mobile home, which meant he had access at any time, day or night.
Ultimately, what did you do with them?
We left him there for which I have receipts from the Salvation Army until March 6th of '97.
And then they came and took all the stuff?
Yes.
What about his pictures and that sort of stuff?
They took it all. It was thrown in garbage bags and boxes and kind of...
And it had been 3 months that you hadn't heard from him, according to you?
Not at all. I contacted his aunts and uncles, which I had his address book, so I went through it and found some. Took a chance that he might be, and he was. He had been there. And so they kind of directed me to an address and a phone number.
So who called him? Did you call him?
Yes.
And what did you say when you called him?
I didn't reach him. I reached the relatives. Yes, Glenn was here. He stayed a few days and left.
So you never really reached him?
No, but he got the message, so he called back.
And when he called you, you still had the property?
Yes, we did.
So what was the conversation?
It was, hi, how are you doing? I can't live in Las Vegas anymore. The drinking's too available, and I would like you to come live here with me. And I don't really remember if the property really was mentioned at that time.
But then there came a time when you did call Salvation Army.
Yes.
Now, how much time passed between this first conversation that you had with him and the time that you actually disposed of the property?
Approximately 1 month later.
And why did you dispose of it at that time?
Because I received a letter from Glenn saying that he would be there on a Saturday and pick up his things. And I agreed, fine, we'll meet you here Saturday, and he never showed.
Do you have that letter?
No, that was no, I don't.
Do you remember writing a letter to her?
No, ma'am, there was never a letter written.
My father remembers this, Your Honor.
I believe you.
Okay.
I believe that maybe you don't remember, sir. Mrs. Burge, I gather from your husband that you knew that he had a drinking problem at the time that you married him, because you've been together for 3 years, before you married him.
Yes, I did.
Why would you do that?
I didn't know it was to that extent at that point.
But you knew he had a drinking problem.
Yes, and he had said he was going to work on that, and I had hoped he would.
You know, I get the sense from looking at both of you, and from listening to you, sir, that you still have some very strong feelings for her.
Yes, I do. I did since the first day that I ever met the lady.
And I also have a sense that but for his drinking problem, you feel strongly about him.
We did. We had a very, very close relationship. And it was good when... It was good when it was...
It was good when it was good. Mr. Burge, what have you done, if anything, to deal with this problem that you have?
I haven't had a drink, Your Honor, in almost 3 months. During the course, if I may add, during the course of our relationship, towards the ending of it, I even went into rehab for 3 days.
But didn't work?
Well, after being out of rehab for 3 or 4 days, Michelle would make me a cocktail.
You have to understand, Miss Burge, the nature of the illness. You know,
Yes.
You can't treat it as if it's a thing that you can turn on and turn off. Sometimes you don't understand that. You believe that he hasn't had a drink? Looks pretty straight to me.
It's possible.
If he did enter a period of sobriety in his life, would you be interested in trying to save your marriage?
I'm not certain because he did hit me, and it wasn't the first time. He had tried to hit me before, but he
Well, that was
wasn't
only when he was
successful.
drunk?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you. I mean, nobody should live in an abusive kind of relationship.
No. Yeah.
But he did leave.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, because I think he felt terrible that he did that.
And the police were on the way.
He probably was too drunk to even understand that.
Think so?
Mr. Burge, your lawsuit is a relatively simple one, sir. She doesn't have to store your property. She hadn't heard from you for many months. I do believe that you did make arrangements to go and pick up the property and that she didn't show up, and she got fed up and ultimately said, just get the stuff and any recollection of this man out of my life because I don't want to deal with him anymore.
If I may, I also have phone records stating, or actually physically showing, that I have been in contact with her since December, January, February. And
She says that. She says that you had
right.
been.
And in February, I'd also sent her a dozen long stem roses to her job. I was trying to keep this relationship going as long as I could possibly because of the feelings.
Then you wouldn't want to be punitive, Mr. Burge.
Right.
And you did, in fact, hit her, and I believe that you hit her. Whether you realized it at the time or not, it was more than a slap. So you're going to have to live with the fact that because you have a drinking problem, you did certain things that were really the antithesis of good behavior for any human being to another.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I certainly get the sense from the two of you that neither one of you is prepared to totally throw in the towel. Maybe you can ditch Dad for an hour and go out and have a cup of coffee.
And later today,
You using me is over with. It's
Okay.
over with.
Okay, no problem.
That's it, Susie. That's it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Glenn Burge wants his estranged wife, Michelle, to pay for the loss of photos and memorabilia of his son. Michelle says she held on to his belongings for 6 months.
I don't think she's a bad person, sir.
She's not.
Okay. So then we really shouldn't be here today, other than perhaps for you to see her, because you said it's the first time that you've seen her since you left.
Yes, ma'am.
I certainly get the sense from the two of you that neither one of you is prepared to totally throw in the towel. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Pardon me, sir. Maybe you can ditch Dad for an hour and go out and have a cup of coffee or breakfast and just talk. Is that a possibility?
If she's willing.
You willing?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, you see about it, Miss Burge. If your husband, who I clearly believe you have some feelings for, still. No or yes?
No, I would say no.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Just too much has happened.
I can understand that. I can understand that. Mr. Burge, you may have to try a little harder, sir. She's vacillating a little bit. So you may have to try. Maybe 3 months isn't enough. In any event, I'm not entertaining a claim for $5,000, sir. I am dismissing your lawsuit. That's all.
Okay. Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Bishop versus Baum. Step forward, please.
35-year-old Lori Bishop is suing her former girlfriend, Ingeborg Baum, for the cost of a parking ticket. Ingeborg says it's not her fault she got the ticket and refuses to pay for it.
This was your friend. She asked you to do her a favor and drive her downtown because your daughter was in jail?
Yeah.
And you didn't have a car?
No.
So you did her a favor, drove her downtown, parked your car where you shouldn't have.
Well, not really where I shouldn't have. We parked the car. We stayed there. We tried to find out where Renati was going to be. And
Renati is your daughter?
Yes.
Find out how long it was going to be before she got released. Well, we'd been there probably about 3 hours, and we got back to the car, and Susie says, "What is that on your windshield?" And I says, "It can't be a ticket because I can park here. I parked here before. I know we can park here." So we went and got something to eat. We came back, and we parked across where this little complex. And it said, "No parking, towaway zone." I'm like, I don't feel good about this. So all we had, when we started our trip out, I told her that I'd pay for the gas. I mean, she has to pay for the gas, but I'd give her the ride. So we got to the gas station, and her ATM card wouldn't work. So I put $20 in my car, and then I got $20 for us to eat because we weren't sure how long it was going to be for us, before we got back.
You parked your car where you shouldn't have parked your car, Miss Bishop.
Right. Well, I did. Well, it was sure. the sign said parking this way, no parking this way, right there.
What is that? Just a second. What does that have to do with her?
Well, I wouldn't have been there if it wouldn't have been for her.
That's what she keeps saying, and
I wouldn't have been there. I did her a favor. I've done a lot for this lady.
Miss Bishop,
a lot.
Listen to me. Your argument is that but for the fact that you were doing her a favor, you wouldn't have had your car down in that location and you wouldn't have gotten a ticket.
Right.
And therefore, she is responsible for the ticket.
Right.
Let's say you were driving with her to pick up her daughter, and you were speeding.
Right.
And
No,
you
I
got a
wouldn't hold her
speed, just a second, and you got a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be responsible for that
no, it wouldn't be.
Shh. Who would be responsible?
I would be.
Because you did the wrong thing.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, you try to explain to me how it's different. Parking where you weren't supposed to be parking. And speeding.
Well, because she didn't have the money to pay where we could park, where it wasn't going to cost us any money. I mean, where it wasn't going to cause me any harm. She didn't have the money. She didn't have any money when we went.
But then when you parked there under the tunnel, I asked you, can you park here?
Right, and I could because I did before.
So I asked you.
Just a second. So you said you've parked there before and you didn't get a ticket.
Right.
This time you did.
Right.
Pay it.
Okay. Well, what about the money that I took $40 to eat on for the parking, to finally pay the $5 for the parking and stuff. What about that?
Just a second.
I mean, when I called up her one day,
Bishop, I think she's responsible for those out-of-pocket expenses. The gas, right?
Yeah.
You've paid $5 to park the car after you moved the car when you got a ticket? Were you with her when she moved the car?
Yes.
And she paid $5 for that?
Yes.
You think you're responsible for that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. That's $25. And if you think that you were wrongfully given a ticket,
right,
then you have to go argue that at the Parking Violations Bureau. You go before a hearing examiner and tell them your story. But you parked your car in the wrong place. You got a ticket.
Right.
You have to pay for it.
Well, okay.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $25.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
That's not right, Susie. That's not right. Okay? I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for you, Susie. And every time I do something for you, this is the way I get it. I mean, what about the $100? I had to get it from her.
Gas, I will
pay for the gas. What about all everything else, Susie? So I'm just stuck with the ticket. Well, I have nothing to say to you after this point. Even though I was a friend enough and took my whole day away to take you down there, you can't help me out by paying half the ticket? Yeah, walk off, Susie. Just walk off.
Claims she was assaulted in a Hollywood electronics store owned by David Cohen while trying to buy film.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 242 on the calendar in the matter of Barnes versus Cohen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Barnes, you claim that you were assaulted in defendant's store while you were there buying film.
Yes.
Where did this take place?
On Hollywood and Boulevard.
Were you a tourist?
Yes, I was.
According to this, you were a tourist.
I was
Who were
a
you
tourist.
with?
I was with my brother and his girlfriend, which are my witness, and my sister.
And you ran out of film?
And I ran out of film, right. I ran out of film, so I went into this film camera shop to purchase some films. And while I was in there, this man here was very, very rude to me.
Well, tell me exactly what happened. You went into the store and you said?
And I went into the store and I asked him, do you have films for my camera? And he said yes. So I asked him how much the films were. And he told me, and I told him I think they cost too much, And so at that time, my brother told me, he said, well, I know another place where we can go to get them a little bit cheaper. And so at that time, he got all mad and upset because he said that, that's why he hated to deal with the N-word, call us, and stuff. And he was very, very rude to us, very, obnoxious.
Did you buy the film?
So I had purchased them, and then I asked him, I told him that I decided that I didn't want the films. So I gave, I asked him to give me my money back, And so then he said, that's what he said, well, that's why I hate dealing with you. He was just cursing and going on. And I'm not used to nobody hollering and screaming at me like that,
So far, he said a lot of bad things to you.
Yes, he did.
And then what happened?
Instead of giving my money back, he took my money and he threw it in my face. And so I was really, upset and shocked. I started crying and everything. Then next thing I know, the guy that was standing beside me hauled off and kicked me in my leg. Who
was standing beside you?
Some man that worked in the store with him. I don't know, some merchant, I don't know, a salesperson or something. He was just standing there, and all of a sudden, this guy threw the money in my face. This other guy kicked me in my leg. You know, and I have the pictures here. I have the doctor's statement, everything. And I'm suing for pain and suffering.
Okay, sir, let me hear your version of what transpired.
Your Honor, I wasn't on that location to begin with. I have 3 different locations in Hollywood Boulevard.
Were you in the store at the time that this happened?
Absolutely not.
Well, who was? Step up here, please. Tell me your name.
My name is Emmanuel Cohen, and I manage the store on Hollywood Boulevard.
And you own the store?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you tell me your version of what happened. Is this the gentleman that you were dealing with?
This is the man right here, Your Honor, that
what?
threw the money in my face.
Okay.
The one with the glasses.
Okay. So you tell me, sir, what happened, your version of what happened when this lady came into your store.
I was standing behind the counter where all the films is located. 4 of them, they walked in. They asked how much is a Polaroid film. I told them $12.99. She asked me if she can get a discount. I said no.
No, I didn't.
He was
Excuse
quiet.
me.
You have to be quiet. Go ahead.
I said no. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, that man that's sitting there, he says, you know what? I don't like his face. He called me a name. Even though that he said all of these things to me, just a couple of words, she started telling him, shut up, be quiet. It's none of your affair. Shut up and get out of the store.
She told
him.
She told her brother.
Yes.
Okay.
After that, she said, that's okay. She threw $13 on the counter. I give her the Polaroid film. Before I ring it up, she walked out. 2 minutes later, she came back in again and she threw the film at my counter. And she says, I want my money back. At that time, I don't want any headache. So I void the sale. I give her the $13. She threw the film like this. By the time she was walking out, she go like this on my counter. I have no idea why she do this. She throw everything, the credit card machine, the printer, all my business card, the telephone, the stapler, my stamp, my receipt book, the whole thing on the floor. And I'm standing here behind the counter. She threw everything behind the counter and in front of the counter. And she walked out. We have a narrow
What
door.
happened with another employee who she says kicked her?
We had one person with the name of Elmer Gomez. This man, I have his telephone number and everything, right? He came that morning around 9:30 to the store to be trained or to see how he's making a sale. He's not hiree of us. We not hire him. We just try him out. He was there with another salesman. They both of them, they were in the back selling a video camera. Nobody was up front to kick or to harass or to do anything with her. I'm still behind my counter. I have no way to get out that fast or kick or do something.
She's not suggesting that you kicked her, sir.
For the past 17 years we've been
You're
in
not
Hollywood.
suggesting that he kicked you, right?
No, it was another man in the
No,
store,
ma'am.
Your Honor,
No,
that
Your
kicked
Honor.
me.
Excuse me.
Would you describe what that man looked like?
He was like about his size, but kind of, he was a little younger.
Older?
He was a little younger. I don't know how old he was, but he was a little bit younger than both of these men. These are not the 2 men, the man that kicked me.
Step up here, sir. Tell me your name.
John Ellis. I'm her brother.
Where were you visiting from?
She was visiting from San Francisco. She came to visit me, and we had it all planned to go sightseeing that weekend. So we were on Hollywood Boulevard, so we went to get some films. So this gentleman with the glasses was very, very unprofessional, very rude to us. So my sister told me to walk out the store, leave him alone, because I was upset. And I left the store.
And you left.
My brother
walked
left
out. I didn't
So
want to get
you
no
didn't
confrontation.
see your sister get kicked?
No, I left the store because I didn't want to get no
Okay.
confrontation.
My brother's girlfriend was in the store. She was still in the store that saw.
Did you see her get kicked by someone?
Yes, I did.
Well, then step up here. You may sit down, sir. Tell me your name.
Hi, my name is Deborah Key. Okay, I seen where...
Look at me, please.
Okay, I seen where the gentleman with the glasses, okay, he said once she asked for her money back.
I want you to tell me about the kick that you say you saw.
Okay, about the kick.
Look
the
at
guy,
my eyes.
Okay, the guy just all of a sudden, he had no kind of words with the man. He just all of a sudden just kicked her. He just kicked her. just deliberately just kicked her for no apparent reason. So that's when she got to hollering and screaming and fell down. I immediately pulled out my cell phone and called 911. I called 911, and then that's when the police came.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You say he didn't assault you.
Now that I look at him now, Your Honor, he is the man.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. As Harriet Barnes attempted to purchase film in a Hollywood electronics store owned by David Cohen, she says she was attacked.
Now, where is this Mr. Gomez today?
He ran away from my store because for the first hour that he stopped working for me, he had to deal with such a thing.
They arrested him. They put a handcuff on Elmer Gomez, this new guy, and they body search him. I saw that things are happening, and I called the store number 2. He was there, and I told him, come over here, and we have a little problem over here. As soon as he comes in, the police, they were standing there.
I came in, and I said to the police officer, I am the owner. What can I do for you? All of a sudden, this lady that I see her for the second time, she got up and she said, you hit her. So all of a sudden, the police officer that saw me, I'm coming from my next door store to this location. They opened the cuff from the gentleman that we call here Elmer Gomez, and they put it on me. And I told the officer, you know that it's not true. She said, David, relax. It's a citizen arrest. If they would leave it up to me, I would not take you down there because I know you came from the other location.
Were you, just a second, were you present in the store when the police arrived?
When the police arrived, Your Honor, I was out on the street, on the ground, holding my leg.
Did you ever see this gentleman at the store on that day?
No, I didn't. No, not this one. I saw this one and the other man that hit me.
After the incident, after the police were there, did you see this man here? This gentleman?
Yes. Well, this one right here, yes. He was there after the police arrived.
Did you ever see this man in handcuffs?
No. No, Your Honor.
Who was in handcuffs?
The man that kicked me.
Were you ever called to go to the criminal court with regard to that man?
No.
Well, you had an arrest made of somebody who, say, assaulted you. Did you ever follow up on it?
No.
Why not? Somebody assaulted you, and you had them arrested. Didn't you follow through with the police? Didn't you go down, file a police report?
Yes, I did. I have a police report. No, I have
Let
the
me see
police
the
report.
police
It's
report.
right there.
You filed it.
Didn't anybody ask you to come down to the police precinct?
Yes, that lady called, remember?
Yeah, some lady.
Sir, stand up here. Do you know anything about this?
Yes, the lady
So
called.
what happened?
Because she lived in San Francisco, and I was taking care of all the business because she was in San Francisco, and she couldn't come back and forth.
Well, what happened when the police called?
They called me and told me that we were going to court on the
16th.
It was like 2 months ago. We were supposed to go to criminal court.
Right.
Then they called back and said it was thrown out of court or something.
What do you mean it was thrown out of court? Why was it thrown out of court?
I don't know.
Did you come down to criminal court?
No, because I didn't know that I was supposed to.
Well, your brother knew.
You know.
Just a minute. Your brother knew.
She said we was on standby and she'll call if she need us.
That's what it was.
The DA told us. We was on standby, and she said we was for 10 days that she'll call us. I gave her my phone number and my cell phone number, and she'll call me. She never did call. She said if you don't call, then we don't have to come. We don't have to appear. So that's why we didn't go down.
Give me the name of the district attorney.
What was her name?
We have the dismissal.
I'd like to see it, please, and I may have to call the district attorney. I'm going to tell you what my problem is. I don't understand why people who have a legitimate complaint for an assault don't follow through with the criminal case and yet follow through with a civil case. Why wouldn't you follow through and want to see justice done?
We have never been to a court before in our life. This is all new processes to me.
Yeah, but you came to a civil court to get money. Why not go to the criminal court to have justice done there?
Okay, well, we did this, and we got subpoena, and I asked her, do we have to appear? She said no.
Just a minute. This piece of paper says, Ms. Barnes, that you caused to be arrested Nasser Shlomo Cohen. Who is that?
That's me, Your Honor.
And you signed that you swore that he assaulted you. Miss Barnes, shh. Well, read what you wrote. Not anybody else. Read what you wrote.
Your Honor, if they stop telling her what to do in her life, I think she would be much successful person in life.
That's none of your business, sir.
I'm sorry.
Now, let me see the rest of the papers, please. And get me the name of the district attorney, sir.
I'll get that name for you.
Your Honor, may I say something again?
Now, let me look at some papers, sir. Don't say anything yet.
But you weren't there.
I don't have a certificate of disposition about what happened with this case.
It got dismissed, Your Honor.
It's not here. You said to me, now I've read all the papers here. Did you find the name of the district attorney, sir?
I have a phone number you can call.
Sure.
213.
Let me see the other papers that you have there, please.
This is for the regular,
All right. Let's see. All I want to make sure is as follows. It's your statement, madam, that you were perfectly prepared to proceed with the criminal case against the person who you said assaulted you, but you were never contacted to appear. That is what you told me. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you were never contacted, never told that you have to come down for a trial.
No, I never got a phone call.
Okay. Why don't you all have a seat, please? Please. Make room for your sister, sir. Get up.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You just told me 5 minutes ago that it was somebody else.
Because he looks different, Your Honor. He looks completely different.
Younger. Oh, please, madam.
He does.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Harriet Barnes wants damages she says resulted from an assault in a Hollywood electronics store owned by David Cohen.
Bill, this is Judge Scheindlin. How are you? Good, thank you. Who are you, Mr. Great. Okay. It's a very simple matter. I was given by litigants who were before me on a civil case a subpoena in a criminal case, and I do not believe that they appeared. They tell me, the defendants in this case tell me that the case in the criminal court was dismissed for whatever reason. The complaint that I have, the criminal subpoena, is people of the state of California plaintiff versus Nasir Cohen. It's important, but it really becomes less important because clearly in this case, even according to the plaintiffs, the wrong person was named as a defendant. You don't know. It's very possible. Well, I thank you very much for your time. I will try to ferret this out, but as far as you know, this case absolutely was dismissed, as it probably should have been. Very well. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your help. Bye-bye. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. I have a cold. I don't feel well. And something is not right here. Step up here. Step up here. I'm on the phone trying to ferret out what's going on. First of all, you step up here, too. I want you to take a look at this, sir. That piece of paper, that summons that you gave me, is the people of the state of California against this man for assault. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Yes.
You say he didn't assault you.
Now that I look at him now, Your Honor, he is the man. He is.
What do you mean now that you look at him? You just told me 5 minutes ago that it was somebody else.
Because he looks different, Your Honor. He looks completely different.
Younger. Oh, please, madam.
He does. He was dressed different that day and everything.
My problem, Ms. Barnes, is as follows. I just spoke to the city attorney. You clearly filed your case against this man. He was arrested. He was processed because we have a complaint. The district attorney told me that the case against this man was dismissed. 5 minutes ago, you said to me, this person didn't do it, this person didn't do it, it was somebody else. And all of a sudden, when I take a break, you say, he looks different from the day it was him. Clearly, from what you told me before, it was not this person.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I am mortified that you came here as a tourist to have a good time, and you had what was a miserable experience. But you have to be able to prove a case. You should have gone to the criminal court. Maybe because you knew that the right person wasn't being charged, you didn't go to the criminal court. That's a possibility. But you should have, because you can't abdicate your responsibility as a citizen in the criminal case and then come in and sue for a lot of money civilly and expect a court to hear less quality proof than it would take in another court. I know one thing for certain. I am not satisfied that this man assaulted you. And if I'm not satisfied that this man assaulted you, your case has to be dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It's a policy of me because I'm Persian. I just say I'm a citizen of this country. I have to be nice to people.
I'll tell you one thing, anybody go to that store, don't shop at that store. But they're very rude and very unprofessional.
Thank you very much.
That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I'll make sure that nobody else come to that store.
No problem. We are here to make money, and this nonsense don't mean nothing to us. I'm sorry if they had a bad experience. And really, I'm sorry.
Man, get out here. Don't play sorry to me.
अच्छा जी तो मैंने कहा चलो फिर दोबारा से आते हैं जरा बाहर बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही है बच्चे बहुत शोर करते हैं जी किसे मारे क्यों मारे ऐसे नहीं करो कुछ इधर देखो और हम नहीं मारो मारा नहीं मारा मारूंगा पिटाई करूं देखो उसके आंसू निकल रहे हैं देखो कितने कीमती आंसू हैं ये ना मैं देना इसको मारे तो Negro. बच्चे बहुत शोर करते हैं जी किसे मारा है? क्यों मारा है ओए? ऐसे नहीं करो कुछ इधर देखो इधर देखो और हम नहीं मारो मारा नहीं मारा मारूंगा आगे पिटाई करूं देखो उसके आंसू निकल रहे हैं देखो कितने कीमती आंसू